west side. I've been knocked out, was a nice try, but I guess I get to keep my head on this time. God of the creation, the relations I've got, the only one that keeps me safe, the only one you should trust. For sure, it ain't right that I have checked the speck of dust from all of its side. Fall down, that from my height, cause I didn't see the plank I have in my eye. What you hear in yourself when no one's to be found? What keeps you eased out? What takes you off your mind?
Guess you want this, I want this. Everybody in this, we should have it. Stop illusions, it's in your hands. Show yourself, reveal it to them. Take the time to recognize it. You won't leave me even if I tried it. You're the artist in the mass and happily perform the new in your hands.
Big dog status, I'm a big dog vet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette. Yeah. Ride around the city with a stick all black. Try with a stove, but we ain't with all that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Made $1 million and I can't go back. Got a lot of jewelry on me, man, you can't hold that. 12 asking better, tell him that I ain't so crack. Know your money long when your people can't afford that. I'm ballin', yeah. My mama told me that did my calling. I keep that stick, I don't do no brawling. Open out the doors and let them all in here. Yeah, they all in here. Ooh, big dog. We come out the pound, so we big dog. Heavy paddock on me, break my wrist off. I'm young out of rocket, about to lead dog. 3, 2, 1, I got big dog status, I'm a big dog vet.
What is up, entrepreneurs? Welcome back to the Friday Live Helpcast with me, your hostess, the mostess, Diana Gladding. Super pumped, proud, pleased, and excited to be here with you on this fine, wonderful Friday. Thank God it is another Friday. Thank God we got another Friday. How about that? Not that this only Friday, we get another Friday on top of the ones we've had before all this. If you're here, if you're breathing, if you're alive, it's a good day to be alive. You know what I mean? We are opening up the camera clinic this week's new segment that I'm doing on the show, which I said that I would, allegedly without dirty glasses. Yes, this is live. So you get what you get, and you get what you get. So doing a live camera clinic this fine day where if you're at your computer, if you're in a space where you have your gear, if you have your stuff, you can hop on live. We'll diagnose your camera issues and stuff that you're dealing with today. We can't do an exhaustive ton of these, but we can open the doors for that in the chat. Otherwise, you can drop a Q colon in the chat and ask your questions. And I have had the historical record of replying to all of the questions in the chat. So if you have to go to work, if you're sneaking in the restroom, which has happened where people are at work and they sneak in to catch the live, drop your questions. We'll still get an answer. And then you can watch the replay and figure out what the issue was. Got my handy dandy trusty Sony ZV-E10 in the building as well. So if we need to dive into more specific technical stuff, we have this on standby if we need to get into the nitty gritties and whatnot. But otherwise, hope you're having a great, fantastic week. And let's get into this. We got Just Tornado in the building saying, I'm already ready with 3 hours worth of questions. You know what? I heard that. And shout out to the new profile picture in the building. I see you. Saying, hi, lady. I guess you mean Lady D. What's up? So I see you here. Says, greetings from Divine at Chat9 Africa. Good to see you, brother. Glad that you are here. So I'm using the Sony ZV-10 Mark II camera for my live streams. Do the settings for photos go away when I switch to the video stream? So we already got our first question on the board. Shout out to Chat9 Africa. And again, if y'all got questions, load up the chat. So as you have them, we will answer them. But we're not doing the 5-hour energy live streams where we do live streams for 5 hours. But if you guys got questions, drop those in the chat. Q colon, just like the letter Q, and then the colon, send them the dot. Makes it easier once the chat gets busy for me to be able to find those questions faster. So real quick, Ravens Talk with Yolanda. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. All right, so let's get into the first question that we got so far on the board. IA says, now, I'm using Sony's ZV-E10 Mark II camera for my live streams. Do the settings for photos go away when I switch to the video stream? If you have, I'll make this distinction. If you have the newer Sony camera menus, then actually it's a way to do it on no matter which one you have. I'll set both scenarios just so I can also answer your question, but help those that don't necessarily have the Mark II or a camera with a newer menu system. If you do have the newer Sony menu systems, the cool thing is that you can approach this the same way either, no matter which one you have. But the cool thing is any of the Sony cameras have My Menu. If you have where you're only on manual exposure or that letter M on your camera, then what you'll notice is those settings sometimes can be copied from the video side, and then you switch to photos and you're still seeing the same things, even down to like the picture profile and stuff that you're doing. What I like to do, no matter what camera that I use, I set up this same system, and this will work no matter if you have the newer Sony menu or the older one. Because your settings are going to differ most of the time, 9 times out of 10 for your photo settings versus your video stuff, find your best, closest, ideal video settings, and then put that into the memory recall. So you see that MR. Let me see. I didn't think we was gonna need to get into the camera stuff, like me hook up the camera already, but let's get into it. We are here, my dear. So what you want to do is do the memory recall. I've done a video of this on the YouTube channel. And what memory recall does is it saves in the camera without an SD card, whatever settings you choose in photo or in video. So most of us need at least something for our thumbnails. Your thumbnails need to be, let's say you're going to do 1/60 of a shutter speed, 1/20th, so you don't show any blur when you take that photo, or 1/25th of a second, for example. What you want to do, figure out what those photo settings are, and then save that to your memory recall. Then in photos, whatever those settings are, don't be in manual exposure, don't be in aperture priority or shutter priority or anything else. Be in your memory recall setting. So that way, when you go over to the photo side, you're already in your best ideal photo environment. You can go to manual exposure, but that way it's not more or less copying and pasting. In the newer cameras, you can have it where it will not do that, but in some of the older cameras, and then too, some stuff can be a little finicky on certain models, but overall, no matter what you're doing, make sure use memory recall. That's the best and ideal way. Then if you only need to make minor tweaks, you can either update your memory recall, or you can go into manual exposure if you want to, or whatever. But I use memory recall. I don't even deal with manual exposure anymore. And same rules apply. That way, when you go to video mode, you're still in your best ideal video settings. There's also another video I did on the channel where I broke down how I set that kind of stuff up on my camera. So my memory recall number 1 is for these kind of shots at the desk, live streaming or recording. What it should be, because there's a light a lot closer to me here than if I sat back there on the little sofa. So I need different ISO settings, slightly different. Maybe I'm doing a blurrier background, but a different lens that's wider, slightly different settings. And I don't want to do where I'm sitting and playing with settings, because too many learning curves equal a circle, and over time you just start to mess up your own stuff unnecessarily. Don't do it. Memory recall. Say it with me. Memory recall saves lives. Okay, so let's let me see if I can pull this second Sony camera up right here, and then see if I can get a so you're not distracted by me showing a bunch of stuff. So I'll put this over yonder. If you guys got questions, load up the chat. I'll be coming to your question allegedly next. So on this camera, matter of fact, let's just go to this one full screen, and then you can see it exactly. And I'll do myself over here in a little box. How about that? So what you'll see on this camera in this far right, you'll see that M with the camera logo or whatever. When you hit the menu button, you can go through all of these different issues or whatever. You'll see how I already have mine set to memory recall setting, or that Mr. you'll see or whatever. These are my settings for the video stuff. Your camera will save these settings whether you have an SD card or not. When you do have an SD card, then you start getting into these extra ones that show up when you get an SD card entered into the camera. But otherwise, if not, then I save it to my function button. I go over here to the shoot mode. And instead of being in manual exposure, I was here last week, so I could do this when I did the camera clinic. And so now I'll just go to memory recall, hit it, and then I can go exactly to what my settings are. It's flipping right now because it's trying to figure out for the camera, which it doesn't fit for the stream. What it's doing right now is like, it's like, oh snap, this is not right for a live stream environment. These are these settings. Let's turn that off. So that's what you saw just happen, why the screen went black, because it's not set for that. But which is why I was in manual exposure. But memory recall. If we have any moderators in the chat, maybe they can pull that up for you. But you just go, it's easiest on desktop, search memory recall on the channel in the search bar, and then Bob's your uncle. So hopefully that helps. Saying the AI inbuilt microphone is phenomenal. It detects the direction of the sound on the ZVE. Yeah. So this is why I love the ZVE1 so freaking much. And I really believe as soon as they figure out how to keep the bodies lightweight and the price down for whatever it takes to produce these ZV cameras, then like the overheating issues or concerns rather, well, it's both. It's a concern and it's an issue because it's not just something we're concerned because it is an issue. But once they identify whatever they need to give us and all these settings and whatnot, and then still maintain like the same heat sensitivity stuff on the higher end cameras, then it's going to be Bee's Knees Hall of Fame. But that's why I freaking love the ZVE1, because when I was vlogging, when I go out of town, it's probably when you see the most vlogs on my vlog channel, I'm not using a shotgun microphone most of the time. Like when I'm getting off the airplane and I'm in the airport or something like that, I have just woken up from ugly sleep, beautiful, ugly sleep, or I had the best rest for like 3 to 4 hours. And I have no intentions of building a rig. I just have my camera in my hand. Literally, I'll be like this with that front facing built-in microphone. Nobody's none the wiser. And I'll put the wind muff on there so there's no wind noise. It's beautiful. Nobody judges vlogs like that. You know what I mean? So I love it. I freaking love it. I'm so glad. And shout out to you, Chat Night Africa, because somebody gives you the Sony ZV-10 when your camera broke that you spoke to. So shout out to the fam that's doing that for you. Appreciate that. Mother Oats in the build, IA. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying happy Friday, y'all, with a little purple heart. Love it, love it, love it. Exploring Canada. Good to see you. I just came across an old Instagram message from you last night, actually. So I was thinking of you. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Happy Friday. Question. Say, I live stream on the Sony ZV-10. I'm considering purchasing the Camlink 4K capture card. What's the benefit of the Camlink? Why? I'm glad that you asked. Every single stream that I've ever done, asterisk, minus those where I'm specifically like doing the USB live streaming because I'm either out of town or I'm testing to show that function, I use the Camlink. The difference with the Camlink is this. And again, I'll do Camlink versus third-party capture cards, like random brand, basic, cheap, whatever. If you are of a darker hue, if you are of a lighter hue, doesn't matter what your ethnicity is, just think of the hues and the tones in your skin. Who is green? Other than a true lizard or a snake or a leaf. But what person do you know is green unless they maybe are sick? So most of the time, what I don't like with other capture cards is the color shift in the skin tones. What the Camlink does is it looks like your camera. Pretty much. It is, well, I got the other one hooked up to it right now. But I have like 3 of these. And I've tried the random brand stuff for the sake of testing and stuff to see what would work. It's fine if you want to show the camera screen or it's not your main jam. So reliability, number 1, what does it do? Help to show your image like I'm doing right now. I'm actually using the Elgato Camlink, the 4K version, which is the newer ones. Before that, I had the 1080p, which actually still works. I just got the 4K version. But the same image that you would see as if I was recording, I'm now able to hook in via HDMI and be live with you and look like this. I've had where people ask, is this actually live? Then I pull their comment up, like I pulled yours up, and then be like, yes, we actually are live. And if you go back to the beginning, you'll see me cleaning my glasses because we are that live. So for that kind of stuff, that's what it's great for. If you want to live stream, let's say you're not even streaming. When I record my videos and you see me at the desk like this, every single time Camlink. Why do I need to record in the camera when I can just use Ecamm? And so, and even if you don't use Ecamm Live, I've done it with QuickTime. QuickTime has the audio and video out of sync or whatever slightly. So we have to fix that in editing. But that's what it does. It's fantastic. I've used it for years and years. And then I'll say the benefit question that you didn't ask of why use like the Camlink instead of like the ATEM Mini or something else is because when you use those devices where you plug everything into it and that device is the capture card, for me with Ecamm, when I go from this kind of a scene to, let's say, this kind of a scene, which I could have did earlier instead of operating on the fly awkwardly, I don't need to say and pick on this device, physical device, hey, use this camera angle. It's unnecessary. With Ecamm, it sees each Camlink and specific camera attached to it as its own individual camera. So let's say this angle was a second camera that I had up. Let's say it was a ZV-10. Instead of that, I could have used a second camera or a third camera or whatever, and it's always going to be here. I don't have to physically switch it. So it shows up in my camera switcher in Ecamm. So I like that. And then basically what it boils down to for me, I set it and forget it. Makes my life a whole lot easier. The only time I need to take my camera down from the live streaming setup here is when I go sit back there. And those files are bigger. They look identical. So my file sizes are smaller because I can record on my computer. So it makes my life easier just hitting the button and saying, hey, to the ALEXA person, I'm ready to record. All my stuff comes on. I'm ready to record. And I just hit the button and go. That's it. So that's what I would give to that question for the Camlink. If you want to set your camera up, sit down and record like this kind of stuff, and it records to your computer instead of recording to the SD drive, SD card. Then you got to plug that into the thing and then drop that. Just record on the computer. That's why I do a lot of videos here. It looks good, sounds good, and I can go live. I mean, that's what it is for me. If you plan to, live stream. The Alan Jones Creator Diary out here in the Build IA. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying cool, everyone. Cool evening, everyone. Hope you're all good. Buffering. Stay home. Thanks, Doc. I'm guessing those are emojis. Wish I could see those. Good to see you, Alan. Glad that you're here and glad you made the live. I know you commented that you missed it last week. Blessed White Chocolate Day indeed, JFK Productions. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Is it Shade with the Sting or something like that? Or I don't know how you pronounce that exactly, if that's a name part of that or a channel name, but let me know how to pronounce your stuff correctly so I can say and address you properly. But good to see you. Glad that you're here. Should I get the A6700 because the ZV-E10 Mark II I didn't like? I'll say this to you. And if you're new here, welcome. For those of you that's been around the block for a while on the channel, get what you like. You've heard me say this a bajillion times. Get what you like. Listening, watching, seeing people happily create with whatever it is that they use to create on their channels and stuff, or as they're reviewing cameras or whatever, you'll know what cameras makes us happy as creators because of what we actually bought and what we actually use to create. not the ones that we cycle through in testing or whatever, but the main squeeze. Why? Because it's something that we like. So I always encourage you to get what you like. Sometimes what you like ain't always, it don't always quote unquote make sense, or it's like logically I should get this or whatever. Get what you want, because it boils down and it's this simple. You will either get what you want now, or you'll get it later and it'll just cost more because of the time, energy, and sometimes accessory expenditure that you bought in something that you didn't like, that didn't fit your needs. And the more that you actually like what you're using, the more that you'll create. So buy what you like. If you don't like the ZV-E10 Mark II, that's cool. All that you've sorted through to this point is you've made a decision on, or maybe now you just make the final decision on what you like, what will serve you, and what honestly will make you happy as you're creating. Because if you're annoyed with your camera, if you're annoyed with your gear, you're not going to want to use it. So don't get, like, you could ask 12 different YouTubers and creators and say, what camera should I get? And if they all said the ZV-E10 Mark II and you like, man, I'm not feeling that, I don't like it, don't listen. Don't listen. Get what you like. You know why? It's your money and you have to experience that. And you'll figure out once you have that A6700 if that's right for you or not. And sometimes you nail the nail on the head. You nail it. So get what you like. Don't even stress about it. So, and also love your views on things. As a Black YouTube specialist journalist, you do a great job. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate the love. David Hunt, good to see you, brother. Glad that you are here. Beating with Nicole B saying hello, everyone. Good to see you, Nicole. Glad that you are here. Said it's been too long. The wheel of wonder of music makes the world go round. Well, we still have to give away that Viltrox lens. So let's see here. Can we squeeze that in the next week? Probably. So maybe by next Friday, live Helpcast, we'll be doing the live giveaway for that Viltrox lens. But I'm probably I've been thinking about it for a minute, specifically, David, because I want to do the Wheel of Wonder with a twist. It's going to be a little different because it's not like 15, 20 different things to give away like we usually do on the Wheel of Wonder. We only got the one thing to give away this time. So I got to switch it up. So we're probably going to do the Wheel of Wonder with a twist. So that way it can still be just as fun, but we got to, make the game a little bit longer because it's only one thing. So it'll be the Wheel of Wonder, just slightly different. Maybe we can do that by next week. Allegedly. Sis, I miss you, brother. I promise you, I almost called you 2 days ago because yesterday is beside me, but I almost called you like 2 days ago saying, okay, don't cry. We got to be gangsta on camera. I know. You know what, Doc? I actually came across not too long ago the first Friday Live Helpcast that you came on, and who you are today and who I saw for the first time back then. You just like, yeah, man, I came on. I thought you had a question. I'm like, yeah, so what's up? You was like, oh, I don't know. I just want to hop on. I was like, okay. So it's so funny. True story. Doc and I, this is why people that say like you can't have real friends online, or well, Doc is my brother from another mother. I punch you in the throat if you say something sideways about my brother. Only I can judge him because he allegedly said I stole his Cheetos, which is not true. Beside the point, those Cheetos were given to me. But what happened was during the pandemic, like I started this Friday Live Helpcast. Initially, the show started back then. Doc hopped on for that first live stream, and then like we've been talking ever since. It wasn't until 2021, I think it was like October 2021 or something like that. People of Video, the first one, in Albany, New York. But Doc and I were both speaking, and that wound up being the first time that we saw each other in person. And it wasn't like I'm seeing this person in person. This is my brother. We've been talking for eons, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So we just talked like normal. It was like 2 hours, I think it was, before we recognize it's like, hey, this is the first time we actually been in person. It's like because it didn't feel like it. It just felt normal. India is another one. India, I kind of went a little girly on that one, but I was like, India, America. And so, because that one was like, I've been trying to catch up with India for a minute, but same thing though. It just like the people that you connect with. So don't discredit your humble beginnings or whatever. You never know what your shows and ideas will turn into. So I can definitely say my content has brought me some lifelong friends and family. Doc is one of those. India is another example of that. So shout out to my big brother, Doc. Love you, brother. I don't know what you're crying about, but tears of joy. Tony Kimball TV, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying, hey, I haven't watched you in a while. Happy to see you. I'm happy to see you too, as well, Tony. I like that logo that you got there. That's dope. Little heart thing. Love it. Saying family, if you add a Q and a colon in front of your question, it will help Miss D see your questions better. She kind of blind. Allegedly, okay, it's not been confirmed or denied. But if you do use a Q colon in the chat, it will make it easier for me to see. What's up? Lula, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Always appreciate you saying and saying you said it right. Okay. Saying it's Shade. My real name is like, is it Shade or like Sade? Because that's what I'm thinking. That's why I'm pausing. I'm like that, like that Sade kind of a, you know what I mean? Listen, English class never prepared me for the way to do names. Okay, it's like AA Ron. That's how it feels. Seeing channel, it's like AA Ron. Are you in the chat? Said to just ignore my crying emojis. Okay, saying Diana is not. See, thank you, David. Chat Night after saying I recorded a video with my ZV-E10 Mark II and the quality was simply stunning at 1080p 30. Question: would you recommend a video camcorder over a mirrorless camera? Example, the ZV-E10 Mark II. So most people, if you've been around the block on the channel for a while, then you would assume my answer would be an emphatic no for a camcorder. There are certain use cases where I will say more so a professional camcorder becomes more appealing for small, certain subsects of audience. Most of the time, that's not the modern day creator. And I mean the modern day solo creator. Most of the time, when I'm listening to the pains, the frustrations, the concerns, the wants and desires and goals that somebody has when they're considering a camera, the camcorder does not fit the use case. So I don't give blind recommendations. Y'all be surprised. I recommend Fuji cameras. I recommend Sony cameras. I recommend Canon cameras. When somebody reaches out to me and they ask me and they say what they have, what they want, what brands they kind of want to stick with, I give them a recommendation based on what they're saying that they want, not just Sony only kind of a thing. So when it comes to whether or not I would do like a ZV-E10 versus a camcorder, modern day camcorders that you see for like $100-$200, hell no. Like no, unless you're trying to go for that old 90s-ish aesthetic that's kind of popularized right now with like Gen Z, Gen Zero, or whatever is underneath them. Gen Alpha, or who, I don't know what the hell they doing past the point. It feels like learning the Greek alphabet at this point. So, but unless you're trying to get an aesthetic, or it's a purpose or use case, or it's like a top-down shot or whatever, or, you know, from the rear where you're trying to record yourself, or you need to have an angle. Here's a use case where nonprofits, churches, speakers even, they just need an environment camera. This camera is not meant to be a studio style Bee's Knees Hall of Fame angle shot. This just may be the crowd shot. And so with the lighting and everything else, more or less, like honestly, it could be a phone at that point, then they choose that. But it really, really, really depends when I recommend a camcorder. And it's more so usually on more of a professional camcorder type level. Panasonic does that well. Sony does that well. I haven't seen too many recent Canon ones that do that so well. And I definitely wouldn't touch a random brand something on Amazon with whatever reviews because a mom saw her 3-year-old kick a kickball great in the yard. It's like, this has fantastic quality. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So it's a slither reason why I would recommend a camcorder, but most of the time it's a good 99.99% of the chance time I'm not going to. Meeting with Nicole, listen, allegedly, okay? So allegedly, Stoke, because it was gifted to me. Let me tell my side of the story. We're at People of Video. I was hungry. I'm in Doc's room. It's me, Luis Vega, okay? We sitting there. Doc's working on his presentation. Mine's done. We're just all having a great time, and he and ha-ha. And I get hungry. He said, "Oh, Miss D, you can have them Cheetos over there." This big old dumb bag with just like this much at the bottom. So that's like enough for like a personal size or whatever. I don't eat jalapeno Cheetos at all. I don't eat hot stuff at all, but I'm hungry. Man, I tore them things up. But he said, "Oh, Miss D, you can have them Cheetos." So I ate them. Okay, then I had them on a napkin. He gets some. You know what, Your Honor? I've been exonerated, first of all. Second of all, this gentleman, Doc to the Rizzock, he ain't telling the full truth, all right? He just telling a side element. All he knew is when he looked up, we collectively ate them Cheetos, all right? We collectively ate them Cheetos, and I maybe ate like 90% of that. So it is what it is. Family was like 8 hours. We was at Blaze, but yeah, it's like we had been hanging out for a while, but People of Videos when we first finally saw each other in person. What's up, K Fair? Good to see you. Saying hi, new here. I agree. You can make friends online. Facts. Even before COVIDification 2027, some of my closest friends I met when I was going to a HBCU. Shout out to Alabama A&M. Go Bulldogs. So I met my friends online and we chatted online in, of all ancient things, forums and via email. And we talked, and then we talked on the phone, and then we ran our parents' phone bill up for long distance phone calls. Like, you got to call after 7 or you got to call after 9. And then met at school, still friends to this day. You know, you got kids, husbands, wives, whatever, and we still love on each other, no different than day one. So it definitely can happen. Say my wife's best friend wedding party was full of his online friends, and this was the first time they met too. See, it like your life can change if you let it. Saying Sony, Canon, or Nikon, who do you think is running the camera game? Not the AA, right? Sony, camera, and Nikon. Okay. Sony has the lead currently. Canon is closely behind because they don't know, with the phase detection 2 version of the camera, they apparently don't know what the side of a face looks like versus the front of a face. Because if you turn to the side, it's like, what's that back there? It's distracted. So maybe it has a little ADHD going on or a little ADD. And that's okay. We love everybody around these streets. But that's why I would say Canon is a close second. Canon used to be the creator's camera brand, period. No question. If you had a Nikon, it felt like because either you do photography and you didn't want nothing to do with Canon, you was already like a brand loyalist at that point, or you couldn't get a Canon at that point. And I'm talking about like the Canon T5i, T6i, T7i, started then to shift at that point. But Canon 70D, Canon 60D, Canon 80D era, everybody. Even I had a Canon T5i. Then I had the Canon M3, Canon M6. I had like, please. So it used to be Canon. Dual pixel autofocus used to be the best. And now it's not. So I would say Sony has the lead. Sony is the creator's preferred brand of camera. Canon is second, and it's usually because you already have a Canon camera, not because you switch to Canon most of the time. It's a small group out there, but not a whole lot. Nikon is the sleeper giant that I think is about to shake both of them up, though. They bought Red. They have some amazing connections, and I think they're working on something. It's too much firmware updates, too many good things happening that it's just like, y'all not finna play with us here in a second. So I would say give it like 1 or 2 years, maybe 3, and Nikon is going to be a serious disruptor in the industry. More so than people probably imagine. They do need to get their autofocus a bit more reliable. And when I say reliable, I'm not saying these kind of tests. Ain't nobody doing it. My regular stream, my regular videos does not include this unless you have a kids channel and you're playing peekaboo or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't include me jumping from under the desk to in front of the camera. I'm not doing that. And chances are some of y'all watching this got bad knees or a bad back or both. So we're not doing that kind of a stuff. It usually is, when I say reliable autofocus, it means I don't have to think about it. And if I turn and I say, oh, let me get my pen from over here, the autofocus don't jump to the background or at the beginning of the stream when my glasses are dirty. But you have to get eye autofocus, acquire it first. And then I'm doing something funny where the glasses is blocked. Maybe they're dirty. You can't quite see the eye. Do you still identify the face and can maintain autofocus security at that point? Sony dominates hands down. So even once Nikon probably does something disruptive, I'm still team Sony because it's just like I personally found a home with them, but I've tried a lot of them. Tried and owned a lot of the camera brands. Panasonic is another sleeper out there. Saying I just bought the Fujifilm XM5. XM5 comes in next week, I hope. I'm intrigued by the XM5. I'm intrigued. It is kind of cool. I just want to play with it and try it. The XM5 is on my list of things like I shared in the newsletter, which I haven't talked about yet, but I wrote and created a newsletter called Creator News Weekly. We are 5 issues in, and we do have a podcast associated with that. So if you can't read it, you don't got time, you can listen on your way drive to work, whatever it is. So I talked about that camera, and it's a lot of cool stuff with the Fuji XM5, which is interesting how they did that. They brought back a, what do you call it? So this is issue number 1. I'll just show y'all this real quick. So this is the newsletter that I created. I think, yeah, this is issue number 1. But they brought back something that a lineup they hadn't been using, and they're going to turn that into a creator line, which I think is super smart. It feels kind of weird. Fuji is another brand that needs to fix their stuff with autofocus, reliability that is, and their lenses need to come up with the autofocusing motors. But otherwise, Fuji is another that could do well. But people are turned off with APS-C right now, but they can bring the pain with that because I think APS-C is the ideal line for creator cameras versus full frame, honestly. So real quick, this is my newsletter, the Creator News Weekly. So 5 sections. Tech check, the latest tech stuff that we cover, the copywriter's corner. I'm always giving some kind of copywriting advice there. Because I actually spent the last, since 2019, working with, in my opinion, one of the number 1 copywriters in the world, Ray Edwards. So I actually became a really good dynamite copywriter. AI Simplified, Marketing Strategies That Convert, and then Mindset Mastery. So I'll throw this link in there if y'all want to take a look at this one. I don't know how long this link becomes available for the preview, but that way you can check it out. And then if you want to listen to the audio version, you can as well. And check it out. So we do a audio version of the newsletter, but it's the fluff-free newsletter for content creating entrepreneurs. So I'm really proud of that. We are 5 issues in. So boss sauce. Let me see if this preview link will work for y'all. I didn't intend on showing that one, but it should. So I will do this. I'm going to put this in Rebrandly, which I use. If you don't have something to like do branded links for your stuff, get something. So, and then we're going to open up the camera clinic. If y'all have a request or somebody decides they want to come on live, we could do that. So I'm going to drop this in the chat and y'all can take a look at that. Rhyming out here in these real and digital streets. All right, let's move on. I should give you a link where you can sign up. It's the cnwshow.com. I'll drop that in the chat as well. And then we'll move on. All right, so let's get into more Q&As. All right, let's see what we got. Let me go up. Oh, shoot, I'm falling behind in the chat again. It's happening. Saying I'm Gen old. I love that Fuji old aesthetic. Yeah, that's the only thing that I've never been a fan of is the whole This is what I think of. Almost like throwing up gang signs. You gotta, I get this dial at the top. I'm not trying to play with all that stuff. That's annoying as hell. You can put it in like auto mode and use it more or less like a ZV camera, but I'm just like, I ain't got time for that. Just give me the real deal Holyfield out the box. But I'm intrigued with the XM5. Saying, what's your best tip to level up your audio and camera skills? First of all, I would say, which is a great question, I would say prioritize your audio over your camera skills, because you can fix that faster. It makes a greater impact, and it actually produces a noticeable difference over your video quality changing. Because if the video looked as good as it does now, but it sounded like trash in a bag and like I'm talking from the back of the room, half of y'all probably would have left already. But because the audio is good, I could be on the worst camera that I have, which would probably be my older MacBook laptop, camera, and it looked like trash. But if I got this great audio, you could deal with it as long as the desk ain't wobbling or the camera wobbling or something like that. So prioritize the audio first. To level up that audio, what kind of microphone do you need for the environment? Most people think I only need one microphone, which is really about picking the microphone that suits that kind of creative environment you're in. We invest in wireless mics like the DJI or the Rode microphones because either you want to hook in a lapel to a wireless pack and to your camera, or you just want to clip it on, whatever floats your boat, or find your lost remote. And then we don't try to use that same setup for a live stream or, recording like this. We'll do a podcast style microphone. You don't have to get the Shure SM7B. I rode with the Samson Q2U and the ATR 2100 original for years, long before I ever touched the Shure SM7B. And then I would say get rid of some of the noises, background noises. Some of y'all know I was plagued for years with the airplanes. That ain't happening a long time because I found, thanks to AI, an AI plug-in audio that I don't need to use the Rodecaster or anything. I just use it. And so it doesn't matter what the noise is. You don't hear the airplanes and stuff like that anymore. One of the best audio investments ever. And so I would do that. And then you said to level up your video game. I'll give it to you like this. In my best-selling book, which I'm definitely going to hold up. I'm so freaking proud. I was rethinking about this the other day. I'm so proud of myself because I published a freaking book and it became a bestseller on Amazon, and it held a bestseller, not for a day. It held it for, I think it was like close to 2 months. I think we might have been at like that 9 to 10 week period, but that's pretty gosh darn good for your first book. And not only that, I think the statistic is for, I don't know, maybe it's like 100 copies for the lifetime of a book when most people publish a book. I waxed that. I waxed that in the first day. So I broke even that, stigma around you can't self-publish a book and then you're not going to sell many copies. That's a lie. I sell books every month. So I'm definitely looking to up that, but I sell books every month, which is a blessing. I'll give it to you like this, though. The Alvis Hierarchy Investments also works. And that's ALVAS, audio, lighting, video, your accessories, and then your software. I'll say it again. The Alvis Hierarchy of Investments is also the same way that you buy gear, you upgrade your gear, and you should learn and improve your stuff for your gear. Audio, lighting, ALVAS, audio, lighting, then your video, then the accessories to accompany that stuff, and then your software. So I would say fix the audio first, like I just said, then fix the lighting. So whatever cameras you have looks better. Then you can look into the video stuff because you already have the audio and the lighting looking good. So it don't matter if you was using a kit lens, it would look better with the proper lighting. And nobody's as distracted because the audio sounds great. Then we get into the accessories of the stuff to make that better. Like we talked earlier with the cam link and stuff. And it's like now you're making your setup more efficient for yourself, getting SD cards and all the hashtag the right things. And then software would be like what I'm using right now for Ecamm Live, which is, again, another way to level up. So that's the way you make investments, and that's the way you upgrade. And that's also the same way when you're looking to figure out, again, like, what do I want to improve or make better, or what best fits a new vision or idea you have. I still use that Alvis hierarchy of investments. I'm like, before I buy anything else, let me get rid of these plain noises once and for all. So I was testing stuff, found out what works, been using it, just got a yearly subscription, and so I could be done with it. So that's what I recommend. Along with Amit, good to see you. Is that Amit or like Amit? Hopefully one of those is correct pronunciation, so let me know. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying it's Sigma 24 to 70 on full frame or 18 to 50 on APS-C. Always depends on the use case. Because when you look at, there is on my blog, on my website, it's a lens, what is it, like Clear Image Zoom, I think it is. But this will also help when you're talking for lenses. Let me pull this up real quick as soon as I can find it. But when you look at what you want, what it should be, whether it's APS-C or full frame focal length wise, first thing I'm going to say, if you have APS-C or full frame, put the kit lens on, sit in front of it, and zoom in and adjust to see what focal length you actually are using and are using most often. And then, like, if you're planning a shoot or something you need to do and you like, oh, I need a great lens for this thing, same rules apply. Most of the time, if you're doing some kind of shoot, whether it's for yourself or otherwise, you should at least spend no less than 30 minutes, hopefully like an hour. Go to that place, that location if you can, get in that space or whatever, and see, okay, I'm thinking about standing here. I'm thinking about framing this, however, and see what you're working with. Because what you'll find maybe is that you thought Sigma 16 was going to be best. And you're like, that's way too wide. I actually need to be at closer to like a 24, 25, or 30. Then you can decide it. Do you want a 20, 24, or 30 millimeter lens? Or you can get a zoom range, and then that's fine. But then if you're doing something like a car shoot, where some people like that show, I can't think of what it's like in the cars with comedians or something or whatever. Okay, they're using GoPros because it's a super wide angle. Then 16 won't matter, or 18 millimeters won't matter because it's still not wide enough. You would need something like a 10 to 18 to work for that. So look at what you're using with the kit lens. If 16 is still not wide enough, you need to know now that you need to go wider. Don't matter if it's on full frame or APS-C, because the same rules apply when you're looking at that kind of stuff, because it just makes things worse for you when you pre-invest before you know what you need. If you at least have a kit lens or you use Clear Image Zoom, then that can help you figure it out. So the other thing is, like, I talk about Clear Image Zoom. So I'm going to show y'all this. Is on my blog. And so I made a Clear Image Zoom calculator. So when you go to the blog on Clear Image Zoom, because I also have the YouTube video on it, you can put in here, and it's like, should it be 18, or what focal lengths would I have available to me if I use this? Well, now you can see from a 1.1 times crop up to a 1.5 times crop, because you can do up to 2.0 times crop or 2 times crop if you're in 1080p, but if you're using Clear Image Zoom, just do 4K. So at least at 4K, even if you're using a prime lens, this is what you could be looking at if you're at 18. Or, don't matter if it's APS-C or full frame, same rules apply. So you said 24. What if you're at 24? What can I get with Clear Image Zoom? Maybe if you just had a prime lens or something, you can get all the way up to, put an enter on that one, you get all the way up to 36 millimeters. So I'll drop the link to this blog in the chat. So if you want to check this out, you can, and you can play around with that Clear Image Zoom calculator. But that way, when you're looking at focal lengths and stuff, or what you need, or even what you can get away with Clear Image Zoom, because let's say you're at the 18 to 50 on the APS-C. Okay, let's go back to the calculator. You at 50 already. What else are you going to use? Clear Image Zoom. Now you can get anywhere from 50 all the way up to 75 using Clear Image Zoom. So that calculator will help you figure out what you need, but it don't matter if it's 18 to 50 or 24 to 70, because they more or less kind of like the same thing on APS-C or whatever, but you need to figure out first what focal range you actually need. Put that kit lens on there and figure out, do I need wider than 16, more than 50, or somewhere in between? And then you can just choose what you're using most often. And when you put the kit lens on there, the reason why I recommend that over anything else, when you put the kit lens on your Sony camera or whatever camera most of the time, and you start zooming in, the numbers say if it's like 15, 16, 17, 18. Why am I telling you when I could show you? And so let's pull the ZV-10 up. I got the kit lens on here. You see how it's like as I'm zooming in and out, which is a black for a reason. But if I'm doing this, you can see where it's like, oh, I'm like, I can figure out where I'm at. That line, white line that you see, tells me once I hit Clear Image Zoom, it'll go all the way up, because this is in 1080p right now, to 2.0. So I can figure out what I'm actually going to use and what I actually need, and hashtag all the things. Put the kit lens on whatever camera, don't matter if it's full frame or APS-C, and figure out what you're actually using focal length wise, versus just blindly buying a lens because people say it's great. Because you can be in a space where that 24 is not wide enough, and if you can't back up, and I've been there before, you can't back up no more, you need a wider lens at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't make a wider focal length. You can't make it longer sometimes, but you can't make it wider, because sometimes you be on a balcony, unless you know how to fly, you can't make it wider. That's my recommendation for that. All right, let's go. Let me find the chat again. This is why that Q colon is essential, but I'm gonna go through here as best I can. Exploring Candace, and agree with Diana about the community she's building. I don't even shoot Sony yet. Here I am, as often as I can be. It's a vibe here. That's the fun and helpful. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate you sharing that. Exploring Canada, always a pleasure to see you in the chat as well. Saying love the allegedly. I'm telling you, I could have been an attorney, but yeah, no. I learned a lot though. Hagibis. Oh, this is this other capture card that Doc was talking about. We can pull that up on the chat. I hear you, Doc, but here's the thing. When it comes to certain stuff, at home is different. And here's what I will say is this: y'all can trust Doc's recommendation. But when it comes to me personally, certain things, the reason why I don't sway when it comes to certain stuff is because I just don't want to play with how long you're going to last, when it's going to go out, if it's going to go out, or whatever. I just don't want to play that game. You know what I mean? So, but we'll show this because this is a recommendation Doc has tested, and y'all can trust Doc's word, other than the whole Cheetos thing, but I digress. So this is what he's talking about here. It has the power delivery, which is that port you see in there. And then you can do USB 3.0, I think that is, or a USB-C type A. So this is another type of capture card. And this one, 1080p 60. So it doesn't do 4K, but it is fast enough. And hashtag all the things. So this one's cheaper. I haven't personally tested this one, but y'all can take Doc's word for it. Only thing is, I just don't test stuff that I can't trust long term. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to the wire, would I throw a second camera angle up on this? Yeah. Would I trust an event to it? No. It's cam links, or I'm going to use something like an ATEM or something like that. I don't know. That's me. When it comes to like data stuff, I can't redo shoots, things like that, angles. I got one or two, maybe three brands I'm going to trust for something, even with power sources. So again, that's my opinion. Y'all can adjust accordingly to what you trust. But like I said, you can trust Doc's word for it. So he got his affiliate link in there. So if you do purchase it, it will support our brother from another mother. So I met my wife online. See, finding love out here in the .coms. Saying, does a green screen look good or does it have setbacks in a talking head stream? My live streams have become more fun because of you. I'd love that. I love that. You know who the best person or one of the best people that I know is, like I was saying, India America. My bad, India, I'm dropping government names, but India over, she actually just did a video with Ecamm talking about green screen, and I'm going to find it and share it because India did a green screen for a long time and I had no clue. Most of the time you can kind of tell that it's a green screen. I promise you, I've watched several streams and I had no freaking idea that it was a green. I'm like, that's not real. She was like, no. I'm like, and then she turned it off. I'm like, the deception. So shout out to India America. We're going to go and show you this one real quick. So India, pause face, but she did this video with Ecamm, and it's exactly what I would recommend. So if you're going to do it, let's go. She even got the whole setup. She showed the deception. But she shows you what you can do, what you need. That's like one of the green, and you see how clean that is? Most people don't do green screen well. They have a green halo or whatever, like colored light sometimes is reflecting on their skin and they look bad, or their clothes has a green outline. You don't see none of that with India stuff, which is why I was deceived. And so now I can kind of see a little bit more. It's like I know what I can recommend when it comes to that, but I'm gonna drop this in the chat. Put this for green screen tutorial. Shout out to India out here in these real and digital streets. But that's the exact video I would recommend if you're trying to do green screen. I've never used it to a point to where I can tell you all the intricacies of it. Only thing I will say is that make sure you light the green screen and then make sure you light yourself, because that's usually why you have that green halo or whatever. But if you want to get into the nitty grittiest, I would watch that video with India. She does an amazing job, and she has done an amazing job with green. She used it for years. And I was like, you liar. The deception. Okay. But she did a fantastic job. So that's what I would recommend for that. All right, let's catch back up allegedly in the chat, because once the chat goes wild, it's like I'm at the Lord's mercy here. So right now for me, the best camera combo in the game is DJI Osmo Pocket 3, DJI Osmo Action 5 for creators. You can spend time creating and not learning how to, I guess how me and Miss D and I used with the mirrorless. I agree with that because, one, I like the DJI stuff. I do have a GoPro Hero 8 or 9, something like that. And I love to use that if I'm outside, if I'm doing something like that, or I've been in the car and I needed that shot of me recording while I was recording Uncle Ray, and he was taking a coaching call in the car, whatever, he's leaving from lunch. And so I just needed, again, that angle. Nothing else was going to really fit in the middle of that dash that small and be stable. But DJI has done a great job with the colors and stuff. They keep up in the game when it comes to the autofocus and like the grading, color grading. I like that. I had the Osmo Pocket 1. I haven't tried the most recent one though, but they did everything we asked for and then some. For those of us that had the first one, people that was waiting on the second one, Osmo Pocket is actually legit. And the other thing that I love about it that you're not hearing as much probably now, when you don't have as much camera confidence and you're creating, that little thing, it feels like you carrying around something like this. Just a little, it literally, it feels like you just carrying around something like this. I've been in stores, you go in malls, you're in the airport. Don't nobody even know that the thing is in your hand. It looks like a Sharpie marker for the most part. They don't know. And so until you're talking to the camera, this is as big as it is. It's just like this. So when you don't have as much camera confidence and you're going to be out in the public kind of a stuff and you still want it to look dope, Osmo Pocket definitely gets that. Osmo Action is cool, but I like the Pocket for what it is. The Action, you know, if you wanted to replace like the GoPro or something. I am concerned with that though, because the Action, the minimum focusing distance has been a constant issue. That's why everybody's like, it's out of focus. It needs to be further away before it can be in focus, which is usually longer than most people's arm. So I have this Nikon Z30, and I feel like the switch up to the A6700 will be worth the switch with a 16 or 23 millimeter lens for a cinematic vlog style YouTube channel. Sigma 16 has yet to get a recommendation, except for when you actually vlogging, unless you got big muscly arms or something. Okay, you flexing 250 every week. That Sigma 16 is she's a girthy girl. Okay, she's a heavy Betty, so you gonna need some strength to hold that long term. I've vlogged with the Sigma 16, speaking from experience. So if you're just vlogging with the camera or you tripod or whatever, vlogging tripod, you're gonna build a muscle if you don't already have one. But if you bench pressing 250 or whatever, then you'll be fine. But vlogging, actually out and about vlogging, yeah, it looks good, but again, it's heavy as hell. Vlogging 10 to 18 still gets my recommendation, or Sigma 10 to 18 f2.8 is fantastic lens. In the studio though, Sigma, that's the lens I don't regret many things, but the Sigma 16 is like the one I should have kept. Because I debated on, I'm like, I'm not going to need it that wide on full frame. But I'm like, I'm now using still mostly APS-C lenses for a lot of creator-based stuff on the ZV-E1. So I'm like, well, and I'm missing it so bad. I'm trying with the 20 millimeters. They're great at f2.8. That Sigma 16 is going to find its way back to the house in here in a minute because I miss it. Nothing is like that Sigma 16 f1.4. The aesthetic is great. It's sharp. It looks good. It's just a fantastic lens. So if you're doing in studio A6700, chef's kiss to the Sigma 16. And then, like I was showing with that clear image zoom calculator, if we go back to that real quick, this is why it didn't bother me that was a prime lens. So I put 16 clear image zoom calculator, I can get from 16 millimeters up to 24 millimeters using clear image zoom in 4K. So I wasn't worried about like if I needed to zoom in or whatever, because I had clear image zoom. So that's the lens I miss, that I probably should have kept. Zenfos, a green screen, add to live stream. What? I'm guessing you mean like use a green screen and add it to a live stream, or does it have setback? You just need proper lighting. Watch the video with India. Watch the video with India on the how, but you just really need proper lighting. That's it. If you got proper lighting on that green screen and you're lighting yourself, the talent, well, both are well lit. You'll be cut out properly. If you're using Ecamm's green screen was the best and has been the best long before like Instagram and all those other guys started doing it like without a green screen. But it's just like the effect using augmented reality. But hell, if you use proper lighting, which I'm pretty sure you already have, you'll be fine. Because most of your stuff that I've seen in past videos and streams where you're overexposed in your video, it means you're too bright. Like I said, the hot spots are firing off. These parts on your face are like infinity white. So it's too much. So you got plenty of lighting. You just need to reallocate the light so that entirely turn it down. But like the green screen, like yourself, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It only has setbacks if you don't use it properly. So I don't even travel with the Sony full frames anymore. I use the DJI Combo iPhone 16 Pro Max, and the results, I shoot more with less work and less editing. I hear where you're coming from. I'm not going to discredit that experience because I get it. But I could definitely say for me, I'm a mirrorless camera first creator. That's how my brain is tuned. Number one, I know for certain things, if I'm out and about vlogging, whatever, hitting the streets, fine, I'll go for the Osmo Pocket. If like I'm in your case, I'm never going to pull out my phone unless it's something I need to record real quick, and then you're recording it that way. But I could definitely say for me, I'm a camera first person. That's what I want. looks can be identical, whatever, but that's what I get the most joy out of. Like if I'm going to be doing something, I'm definitely a camera first person. It was like even funny. I always go back to Creator Camp last year, and Luria, she was like, "You always got your camera." I'm like, I know. I always have it with me, vlogging. So I hear you, Doc. But for me, it's just like, it'd be fine if I'm out and about and I'm vlogging. That's cool. But I'm a camera first person, mirrorless camera first person. Does green screen add to a talking head live streaming, or is it? It's just a preference. That's all it is solely a preference with the kind of stuff that you want to do. That's all. Solely a preference. Okay, for asking, which camera do you suggest from Panasonic for live streaming, specifically small movement like cooking streams? So if we're looking at pricing, let's see here. If we're looking at pricing, there's two kind of markets that I'm looking at, because what I'm still going to look at is autofocusing. I would love to say some of the other micro four thirds ones that they used to have back in the day. And you'll probably hear people say and recommend that you can lock the shot off, or you can just, use a deeper depth of field so more is in focus. But I'm still going to be pushing towards this Lumix S5 Mark II. Hands down, probably one of the easiest recommendations if we're talking about Lumix, because you have the updated modern autofocusing system. Number two, should any updates, firmware updates or anything like that come out, you're looking at this. If you're just doing live streams, it was a bunch of hell that came out when this camera came out, but I promise you, wrong audience. Same people like when the ZV-E10 or ZV-1 came out. ZV-1 was better received than the ZV-E10. But people were like, oh no, I'm never going to use that. I'm just a filmmaker and I would never use whatever. I'm a photographer. I wouldn't. Wrong audience, looking at the wrong product. That's like going to the kids' shoe size in a store and saying, yeah, I don't have nothing for adults. You in the kiddie section. What do you want? Or you in the teen section. What do you want? Go to your section for you. If you're a creator, you're doing this kind of stuff, because this one can stream. I would say S9 or the S5 Mark II, depending on the use case and the needs. Weird quirks if you're talking about recording, but streaming, you're not recording anything. And if anything, you have the replay of the live or whatever. Use something like Ecamm Live. You got the isolated video file. So I would probably go with the Lumix S9. There is a concern for potential overheating, allegedly. But honestly, the camera fans solved all of that these days, so it's not that big of a deal. It just becomes a preference. It really becomes a preference of which one best suits more than just that solo use case. But if you're streaming or something like that, camera fan, you can use that, or, drop a few more extra coins, get the Lumix S5 Mark II, and then you're solid. So that's what I would say going from Panasonic side of things. Just Tornado in the building. Where's those 3 hours worth of questions? Okay, I haven't seen 55 minutes worth of questions. No, I'm just kidding. Good to see you, Just Tornado. Glad you're here. So can you explain APS-C or full frame? I would love to. You know how when you go to the drive-thru at any place, fast food place here in America, Burger King, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, doesn't matter. You go to the drive-thru and you have a large, a medium, and a small. What do most people get? They get medium, because it's just enough for you to get what you need. It's not too small where it's maybe not as much as you want. And it's not too big, or heaven forbid back in the day, supersize me, and it's massive. So what I explain and I give an equivalent to is those sizes: small, medium, and a large. Full frame is like a large. It's a larger size. You have medium format that's way bigger than that. We're going to exclude that because that's like supersize me. So you have large, that is like your full frame, sensor size. Then you have medium, that is like your APS-C. which is why a lot of creators get into the medium gang, because they don't see the value in going smaller or larger. It's like, that looks perfectly right down the middle. And it is APS-C. Then you have Micro Four Thirds, which is the smaller chip. In the middle of the thing, it's just smaller. So it's not as good in low light. Panasonic has done like a lot of crazy things with their APS-C stuff to be better. And in my opinion, one of the best at it. But it's a smaller chip size. So if I was to take the lens off the ZVE10 and we look at, let me unplug it, just this sensor in the middle, this is an APS-C. It's what we would call a medium. If I were to take the lens off my Sony ZVE1, it's full frame, you would see that it stretches into more of the area. It's a larger sensor. The bigger the sensor, the more light that it can receive. It's like, well, it's not going to be the great analogy, but it's like the bigger the sensor, the more surface area, the more light that it can receive. You got a smaller sensor or medium-sized sensor like APS-C. It's still going to be good in lower light situations, but it's less surface area to receive as much light as full frame, which is why people complain about low light situations, even though all of us have artificial lighting no matter what we're doing, or you're properly lighting your scene anyway. Very few people actually have a true use case for true low light use case. I digress. Micro Four Thirds, we have even less surface area space, our smalls. So you need to add more light to kind of help light that environment, which is why kit lenses are so negatively talked about online, because you'll see it has an f3.5 aperture. It doesn't let in as much light. So it's like having your fist over your eyes, like f3.5, I can't see that much. f1.4, oh, I can see now. I can see there's much more light being allowed to the sensor. So that's kind of how I explain that stuff in a very simple way, just to make it easy for you to understand and make the difference. Will the image be more cut off or anything like that? No, when you put that, because I didn't know that. I'm like, so what does that mean? I'm like, am I not going to have a portion of the room being filmed? Or, I'm like, what does that actually look like? What it looks like in real life is something like this. So let's say this is full frame. You see all of the things that are in the shot. Pay attention to what part of the desk, what part of that book, everything. So if I zoom in, if I put on an APS-C, for example, none of this is true to life scale, but these are examples. And I say, oh, well, now I'm using an APS-C camera. I haven't moved where I'm sitting, but now less is in the shot. If we moved into Micro Four Thirds, say it's like something like this, and it's way closer. For as close as I'm sitting, or as far away as I'm sitting, or whatever, I would need to back up. I would need a wider lens. I would need to, make adjustments. But if I have APS-C, it's not that bad. Maybe I get a wider lens and then I'm fine, which is why a lot of us love the Sigma 16, like I talked about. But if you have full frame, then now you have a much wider image, and hashtag all the things that I talked about before. So that's kind of how that works, in a very simple way to kind of break that down. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's honestly something that only has been raged about on YouTube. Personally, it doesn't matter. Use what you like. It still goes back to, what do you like? Most creators find a home with APS-C cameras. The lenses aren't priced as expensive. You can usually find a wide array of those, and the cameras are moderately priced compared to other cameras in the space. When you get more into full frame cameras, especially, I'd say, let's go back beyond the last 1.5 years before we start getting into full frame creator cameras that are more budget friendly. But you would be getting to more like specialist cameras, like the Sony a7S III. That's more like videographer, filmmaker based. More specialist cameras that are more photography based or whatever. So that's kind of how that breaks down, as best as I can make it kind of simple. So hopefully that helps. allegedly. So I will be downsizing for travel in the future. It only takes a little bit of traveling before you recognize you don't need a whole bunch of gear when you travel. You shouldn't have a whole bunch of gear enough to do a whole fledged shoot. You shouldn't be have no full fledged shoot worth of stuff. You shouldn't. That's why when I travel, I have my one camera. I have my vlogging lens. I don't even take the capture card anymore because I can do it via USB-C, but the chances are of me doing a USB live stream are less than nil. But if I am going to be doing it, I probably will take the capture card because I just prefer it. But I don't have to. But it's usually one camera, one lens. And then on top of that, if I take anything else, it's a gray card. So my white balance for sure looks good. But yeah, one camera, one lens, that's it. A couple SD cards and 2 batteries. I don't travel. I did that one time. Took a whole book bag full of gear to an event. Didn't shoot nothing past 2 videos. That was like 3 minutes. And we was all sitting around looking stupid. It's like 2018. And we like, man, my back hurt. My shoulders. He's like, hey, man, watch this bag for me. I need to sit down, So it's so funny. But yeah, you'll need a whole bunch. I'm saying, Fuji got the gang, make you do the gang signs with the dials and all of that. So, Noelle, good to see you, Noelle. As I say in my book. So, this is Noelle. She's my friend. And so we talk probably, it's like if not every day, every other day. And we have a phrase going where if we're going to give advice on anything, it's like, well, as I talk about in my book, clearly we don't have everything's not in the book, but it's like you be on podcasts or you listening to a podcast. I don't care if they talk about their cat's name. It's like, as I talk about in my book, my cat's name is Jasper, and everything is as they mention in their book. It's so funny. I'm telling y'all, if y'all don't know this, if you don't have, as I talk about in my book, if you don't have my book, which is freaking amazing, if I must say, and I do say so myself, I talk about that. Let's see, what chapter do I talk about it? Fun fact, if you ever write a book, you need to keep reading it because people be like, so in chapter such and such, I'd be like, hold on, let me go there. That's why I keep one on the desk. I could probably go to what's the name? Allegedly. So it's around page 40-ish. It's only like 100 and something pages, 140, okay, maybe 200 pages, something like that. But yeah, somewhere in the book, as I talk about in my book, it'll be in here as I'm talking about it. But yeah, it's page 46. There you are. Bazinga. Sorry, the lighting is a little bit too much for white on white lighting, but ALVAS. Shout out to me for writing a best-selling book. Sam, what did you use to get rid of those plain noises once and for all? Krisp.ai. It is the bee's knees, Hall of Fame, and I kid you not. So this is what I use. And when I say gets rid of any noise, I mean any noise. My nieces and nephews will have their devices. They'll have the TV. People are loud talking, like the family's over here. And I'm like, yeah, I got to do this, or I got to call, or whatever. That's fine. Y'all keep doing what you do. And like, oh, you got to be quiet. And it's like, no, you don't. Keep doing what you're doing. So if you have children, hashtag the kids, this is it. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Just go to diana.link/Krisp. It is with a K, KRISP. So I'll drop that in the chat. This is amazing. This is incredible. If you could hear what the audio sounds like without it, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I have the ceiling fan on right now so that I stay cool. But in the wintertime, it'll be the space heater on so that I stay warm because I prefer to be warmer. But what you'll see is you pick your microphone, you pick your speakers that you want to use or whatever, and then it just fixes it. So a lot of call centers I found use this. This thing is a lot of tools will say how good they are or they make your voice sound different. None of y'all even complained about the voice. I use it for the podcast. Nobody complained. I even found a way to use it remotely so I could use it for my regular videos. so we don't have to do as much post-processing in editing. So voice isolation is not as necessary. It's a little tweaks here and there depending on the microphone, but yeah, I use Krisp.ai. It's the bee's knees. Like, that is for sure one of the best audio tools in my bag, for real. Saying thank you so much. You're welcome, Amit or Meet. Let me know if that's the correct way or the wrong way, but you're very welcome. Doc Rest saying the new Cam Link have been failing a lot in the community. They ain't the Cam Links we grew up with. Okay, so the main thing is the power keeps it from fighting the USB bus. Okay, because that other one that you mentioned does have the power delivery that I saw in there, so you could hook that up or even like battery bank it if you needed to. So we'll give those a run just to see. I haven't needed to buy a new Cam Link. I wonder if it's one of those things where, you know how SanDisk, I think it was, it's like with the SSD drives, some of them were failing, and it's like if yours has this whatever code or this serial number specifically on forward, then you may have one that was compromised, or you may have one that is more prone to issues. So I wonder if secretly Cam Link may have ran into that to some point, or just had like faulty boards or something in the device. I haven't needed to buy a new Cam Link in I don't know how long, so that's questionable. If something is wrong with the ones that are coming out now, then I wonder what the issue is, and hopefully it be fixed. But it is what it is. See, India had us fooled for like, see, Kimball, it's good to see you. Glad that you're here. That's what I'm saying. Fooled for eons. Fooled. Saying Heather does a green screen as well. Yeah, so Heather just created Tom Buck's wife, if you don't know. And they'll do their podcast and stuff. That is like more like the normal, but I didn't know hers was a green screen for a background for a while. So it looks great. She uses Ecamm as well. So saying I'm in the gym every week, just to let you know, 6'3", 180. You don't need a wider lens, 24-70, even on full frame, unless you can back up or set your camera. Usually in like a gym, unless you're the only one in there, you got other people maneuvering. It only takes somebody to tip your monopod or kick a leg on the tripod, and it's going to look like an earthquake came through that shot, even if you got stabilization on, no matter what it is. So 24-70 is not going to be wide enough. 18-50 might, depending on what you're trying to do, but usually what I found to be true when you're doing those kind of scenarios, you need something wider. And you kind of want to have a wide end type deal, or maybe if you are on APS-C, actually, you know what? Either way, you could probably get away with on like full frame. Tamron has the 17-28 f2.8. That could work on full frame. And then if you needed to back up, you wouldn't need probably to do too much more. So like the Tamron 17-28 would probably be good. And then if you are on APS-C, like I said, the Sigma 10-18 f2.5, if you needed to get wider. But you might be okay with that 18-50 2.8 on APS-C. It just depends. Like I said, test with the kit lens to see if you need wider than 18 though. That's the only thing. Just see if you test to make sure first, if you need wider, and then go from there. Saying true, I shot an entire weightlifting competition in Ozetta. Saying that's why I call my Osmo. The promoters received my footage, and the other people's footage said the gig is mine fully next go around. Okay. Shout out to you on getting that. You know what? Quality does a great job. The one thing, I will say, if when I was doing more production type work, lighting is the one thing that if I was going to go deep in it with like long-term type deal, I would have invested in like better stage-ish type lighting or whatever. But that's not my jam. I was like, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I wrapped that up in 2019 and only did a little bit there afterwards. But it's like travel lighting type setup, way better now. Way better gear out now than 2019. But, you do a lot of damage with some good stuff. But Osmo is dope. I've seen some other videographers use it. So also, what made me think that was to switch from the Z30 into the ZV-10 Mark II would work. Yeah, but it's like, but I need the IBIS, but the A67 sound worth it. Okay. Probably don't want to go from Z30 to ZV-10 Mark II because it's more or less, it is more with the ZV-10 Mark II coming from the Z30, but if I'm understanding correctly for what your intended use case is and what kind of stuff that you want access to, it doesn't have it. I promise you though, the IBIS in the A6700, if that's the only thing making the difference, I promise you the IBIS alone, and like Sony to the point of people think Panasonic level IBIS. I love Sony. I own Sony. I shoot Sony. However, call a spade a spade. People think, when they thinking of IBIS, they think Panasonic and Lumix level of stabilization. That's not true. And you have to look at how shaky is your stuff, how experienced are you with keeping a stable hand with what you're trying to do. Case in point, some people's vlogging hand, if they just hand hold the camera, they're really good. They're super steady or whatever. I'm shaky McGee. So, and plus I talk with my hands and stuff like that. I didn't realize when I'd be vlogging, I'm still talking with my hands, shaking the camera more. So it's little quirks and stuff like that you kind of got to tune in for, depending on what your quirk may be. But for me, it's still not the same. Lumix level, Olympus level, even stabilization is not the same as like when you get on Sony. So thinking like, oh, it's got IBIS for the A6700. Yeah, you can try it. You can rent it before you buy it, like from Lens Rentals. Go to diana.link/Lens Rentals. I don't know if the promo code Diana15 still works, but you can try it. But you should at least get $25 off of your first rental if you use my affiliate link. I'll throw that in the chat as well. But it's not the same. IBIS is not the end all be all, the Hail Mary saving grace kind of stuff. It's not going to work like you think it will. It'll be good, but it's not like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying to properly prepare your expectations. So would it be better to just have it without IBIS? Depends on your use case. Depends on what you're trying to do. If you own sticks anyway on tripod, it won't matter because you're not moving. So, you know, take that for what it is, but just something so that you're prepared when you're looking for experience level looks. Yeah, so you could get $25 off a Lens Rentals just with the link alone if it's your first rental. So that'll work for you. But yeah, IBIS, Active State on that one, it's good. But I'm still, if you're going to go APS-C, get OSS based lenses for vlogging, 10 to 18 OSS f4 lens is still going to be my go-to recommendation on that one, at least on that tip from experience. All right, let's see who we got left in the chat questions wise. So I would love for you to check out one of my lives to give me recommendations for lighting and sound. Well, Beating with Nicole B. Let's go ahead and open up the camera clinic. The doctor is in. And we'll take a look. See YouTube, Beating with Nicole B. And let's take a look, see to what comes up. All right, so let's jump right in. Let's take a look at your channel. Shout out to and congratulations on hitting and getting close to that 1,000 subscriber mark. So a huge milestone, 139 videos putting in work. So you said you're live to take a look. Are we always doing mobile? All right, so I'm just getting a gist here. So let's go at least 2 weeks back. All right, so we got mobile. First and foremost, more stable, because that waviness for like it being on the desk and the desk moving throws a lot of people off. And some people do kind of get like a type of motion sickness watching that kind of stuff. So if it's attached to your desk and your desk is shaking, stabilize the legs or figure out a way to do that a little differently. Lighting wise, so first thing is, before we even getting to lighting, since you're using your phone, you need to lock your exposure on the phone. no matter what software you use to record, stream with, whatever, usually most of the time it's like you press and hold to lock the exposure so that you're not getting that wavy type of, let's see here, do Pro Mouse, turn that on, so that you're not getting that kind of, let's see here. You'll notice here, actually, can I do Pro Mouse? Should be able to. Oops, let's not do that one. So you should be able to notice. Are we gonna get that? Okay, cool. Up in here, you'll see those blotches of like when it's flashing or it's kind of like blocks of light in there. The way that you get rid of that is so you lock the exposure and you light better. When you start seeing those kind of lighting artifacts, that lets you know that it's not necessarily as well lit. Now your face is okay. What I'm not seeing as much, I can tell you got your light. Let's see here. You got light coming from here somewhere. You also got some light coming from here. So let's say you got light on the left and right or something like that. That's fine because it's not in your glasses, which looks like you got the blue light blocker type glasses. So that'll be fine. You shouldn't get, I'm not seeing a bunch of reflections. Do I see a ring up, a ring light? I see a ring light. Okay, so I don't like ring lights. I don't recommend ring lights, but you got it. Only thing I would say is diffuse the light. You need to light yourself better. You're okay, but the fact that you're getting like the blotchiness, you need to figure out what the exposure is going to be. Most of the time on a smartphone, that's going to be setting it versus letting it do in auto. And that means doing some throwaway videos and testing. And so, like I said, you're not getting the hot spots in the face where it's like the forehead, the nose, the cheeks, the chin. Those are okay. But if you're going to better light the environment, which I'm not going to just judge everything off the one, let's go see if we got some other ones. All right, so I'm going to try to see if we always in the same environment or what have you. Okay, first of all, that's a no-no. So let me love on you a little bit there. The live should be set up already to go when you go live. This drop, I've had coaching clients where, and I think I've put this in nearly all of my presentations. If at the start of the video, they got to wait for you to set up or they watching a replay, they leave. I don't know what it is about it other than you're not ready. Like you're not ready? No. Or they jump in ahead. You'll see spikes of them. Don't do this. Fix your stuff and adjust, or even if you're using a laptop, computer, fix your stuff first before, and even if you use your phone, I think this is a phone, fix it first. Set all that stuff up. They shouldn't see you getting ready. It's an element to being live. You do what you got to do, because y'all have seen me have to go to the bathroom. You saw me earlier today have to clean my glasses. I understand it, but I'm not setting the camera up. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? If you got to make some adjustments or something, do what you got to do. But this should not be in the live initially. So let me love on you a little bit there. Number one, we got to invest in lighting, because I see the lighting source is coming from over here, which is why you kind of get that shadow down here, those deeper shadows. The light is up here and it's casting down on your face. So, oh, Nicole, we can't do this. Love, we can't do this. Okay, we got a lamp. So now we see what the lighting source is. You got to figure this out before you go live, hun. You got to. Because they left a long time ago. They not going, it's live though too. So they not waiting for you to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So when you go live, and honestly, if you need to push it back, this is not always what you want to do. But if you need to push it back, because y'all see me do this in real time, it's like, something is wrong. I need to fix it. I don't know what it is, technical difficulties or whatever. I'm gonna start the live in an hour, or I'm gonna start the live 20 minutes later or whatever. So if you got to push the start time back, whatever, that's fine. You know, it's like not making it a regular occurrence, but you got to get your setup straight before you do. Let's see what this audio is talking about. Let me pause the stream music real quick. Not start a new song. So let's see what the audio is doing on the stream. Let's see where we at.
Yeah, no complaining here. I'm with you on that. Chilling, watching the Royals game. Okay. Cool beans.
Sound like You know how you like these? It sounds like one of these, like when it's hitting your clothes or something like that. So it kind of sounds like that. Just listening to it.
Hi, India from India.
Or is that the leaves in your hand?
I love it. Okay, but
To miss that
first thing that I wanted to do, you guys.
Okay, so yeah, you just number one, let's invest in lighting. You got a light, a ring light or whatever, diffuse it. Pro tip about ring lights, pillowcase. Ghetto pro tip here, pillowcase. It diffuse it, it masks it or whatever, but you got to invest in lights. And you got to invest in diffusion. Number two, like I said, the other thing with the other aspect there, just at the beginning, like I was talking about, this shouldn't be in the live. We had time to do the live. Something goes wrong, something goes awry. That's fine. Because sometimes your audience will give you grace with certain stuff. They don't want to deal with a bunch of stuff all the time, but they will give you grace if it's not a regular occurrence or whatever, which is why I waited to redo the Friday lives. Cause I'm like, if I'm not going to come correct, I might as well not come at all. So I'm like, we need to wait. So, if you, like I said, make adjustments for something if you need to. Like if I'm like, oh, I need to scoot over a little more, that's fine. No big deal. It's like, oh, let me fix the mic. You'll see me regularly fixing the lighting and stuff like that. You'll see me put chapstick on. That's okay. People will give you grace for certain things, but we shouldn't see setup stuff unless that's what we signed on for. And it's like, I'm going to show you behind the scenes of X, Y, and Z. But it's something about the motion of the camera flipping or whatever that gives people some type of virtual motion sickness, is legit. So, but yeah, if this is your if this is your lighting source though, we got to get dedicated lighting that works for your environment or whatever. LED light panels. I've used the same light since 2019, 2018, something like that. Viltrox VL200 lights, to see what happens later in the stream. Because I think, so if you have a second one, I think you are trying to show it. The continuity camera on iPhones and stuff is great if you have an iPhone and all that. But usually if you have an older smartphone that you're not using anymore, use the rear facing cameras. I get it, like your main camera, maybe so you can see the chat and stuff if you're doing a vertical live stream right now. That's cool. But the other thing though is this. If you are doing that, think about the viewer experience. They want to see the beads. There is an element and an aesthetic to that. But set up a second camera angle, which just solely could be a older smartphone that you're no longer using. Use the rear facing cameras. Just clean the camera screen, cameras off, and use that. So you can switch to a second camera angle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we need to make the investments. Again, like I said, it's still going to be that Alvis hierarchy investments. Audio, then lighting. You already got a camera source. So having good lighting and diffusion, you got a ring light, but that's not going to be the end all be all. Ring lights were good for, if what most people missed with ring lights is this. They had other lights as well and a ring light. The ring light was for when they go to the close-up camera and then they switch so you could see. It's like, I'm going to hide this hyperpigmentation using this whatever shadow blush something or another. It's okay. It's like whatever this stuff is called. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to put this foundation on. You know what I mean? So it was so that you could get the close-up, see the finer points of what they're talking about, zoom in for the pencil on the eyelid type stuff, and then it's like if you wanted that fuller shot of the face, you could. You can't use a ring light expecting it to light the whole environment. It's not going to happen, which is why a lot of us use LED light panels and we have a diffusion, or we're using that COB, which is that COB chip on board type deal. And then we will light the space or light ourselves. And we can use one light. Case in point, we did this before. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to mute myself so I don't fire off all the stuff in the room. So I'm gonna mute myself. So what's going to happen is now the only thing that's on is the room light. The room light is behind me because the part that's in the ceiling is actually behind my head. So it's not doing anything for lighting my face. The white balance looks ugly. No camera settings have been changed here. But the only thing that I changed was the lighting. If I turn the side light on, Alexa, turn the side light on. What is the light doing? Let's figure out what it's doing. Hold on. Alexa, turn the side light on. Hard-headed heifer. Shoot. So now we can see, you see on my arm, if you notice, shadow part here, and you're getting a little light roll off there. All right. But we otherwise still aren't seeing my face well lit. I'm lit a little bit better, but not as much. Alexa, turn the side light off. So now we're going to turn that light off. Alexa, turn the front light on. Alexa, I'm telling you it's hard. She's going to get fired. Alexa, turn the front light on. All right. So now if I only went with the room light and myself, the room light's white balance looks ugly alone, but I just use it for fill-in light for the regular stuff. Pro tip, on top of the pro tip, you can go to the store and get a white balance type light to fit the kelvins of whatever your light is for your LED panel. So if you're at 5,000 kelvins or 5,000 K on your camera, let me pull up the other ZV-E10 and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we go here and we go over to the white balance, you see how it says 4,400 K for kelvins for that. I could go get a 4,400 or 4,500 light bulb. So that way it matches whatever the light is for my face, matches the same one for the room. This one is off, which is why it looks off, but I don't care because it's in the background. I just don't want to sit in the dark while I'm doing this, but I could get away with this. Alexa, turn the backlight and the RGB light on. And then if I turn that on, y'all don't even care that that's off. You never said anything before I mentioned it now. That it's like, oh yeah, that's not a perfect white. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Y'all get more distracted by the colored light than the regular lighting of whatever, because it don't matter. Now, if I do want to enhance and do that brighter look, Alexa, turn the side light on. So if I did nothing else, these two lights could light me well. The ceiling light is just so I don't have to sit in the dark because I did the darker thing. I just don't prefer it any longer. And then the colored light is just for a little splash of color. That's it. But I've used the same two LED lights for forever. And the Defuse pop-up softbox, I think it's like dyna.link/lights is the link to my lighting setup. You just need to light yourself well. But that's why you'll see those big parabolic or those big dome type lighting things, and they just have that one big thing. I don't like that personally. Just the size of it, the light looks beautiful. I'm just saying for me, it's a little claustrophobic. Big old dome in front of me. I don't need them. I need to be able to move. I need space. Shoot, you know what I'm saying? When I do stand up, I don't need some big old dome over myself looking like I'm in the first 48 room. I don't like that feeling. That's just me. It's a little weird quirk. I just don't like the feeling. So I did something different that fits me. That's all. The light looks beautiful though. If that doesn't bother you, you got the space in the room. That's great. I have a smaller space. I didn't want to feel like I was in the first 48 room. That's all. But otherwise, those are fine. I've even used a smaller light. I've shown y'all how I've mimicked that with the LED and a dome before. So I can have a portable version of that. But they got a bunch of lights out there now. But you need to do lighting. Audio, lighting, video. Then your accessories and then the software. And then you'll be lethal. So that is my recommendation to you, Nicole, to help you out with some of that stuff. So thanks for the explanation of APS-C versus full frame. I just need to get my ZV-10 out and start getting used to it instead of using my S22 Ultra all the time. You know how you get used to your camera? You use it every day for 30 days. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do a challenge for that. Let me write that down now. We're going to do a get comfortable with your camera challenge. Not comfortable on camera, because you need to have your camera out to do that. But get comfortable with your camera. I'm writing that down now. And I'm telling you so you can all be aware that it's coming. Get comfortable with your camera. I'm probably going to do a 3 to maybe 5 day challenge. And I'm going to walk you through. So not only are you making your first videos, but you're also getting your stuff right. We probably could do it for like a 3 or 5 day challenge. And you know what? It wouldn't take much to do it. So if you're not a part of the email community, you can actually go sign up for the newsletter. And then that'll just add you to the thing. So the cnwshow.com will get you over to the newsletter. And then that way we can get you at least on the list. You also get my newsletter that comes out every Wednesday. But yeah. This is the newsletter, Creator News Weekly. So that's what you need to do for that. You need to get comfortable with your stuff. You need to get comfortable with your stuff. And the only way you're going to do that is actually creating with your stuff. There's no getting ready to get ready. It doesn't exist when you're creating with your cameras. And this is just loving on you a little bit. Okay. It's just loving on you a little bit. You have to be willing to say, I'm willing to go through the non-comfortable phase to get me to being more comfortable. And I'm willing to be in front of the camera doing that. I'm going to show you, because this is why I keep those videos on my channel. We're going to go back in time. It's a couple periods on the channel I don't prefer. But I do this because of stuff like this. And I just want to show you. Oh, shout out to y'all, because we hit 25K on the YouTube channel here. I think it was like on, it's been like 2-3 days, something like that, I think. But we hit 25,000 subscribers. So shout out to y'all out here in these real and digital streets. I appreciate you. I love you. Dope sauce. Okay, y'all are the bee's knees. Let's go back. This was on, I'm going to pop this up in a new tab. This was on a Canon S something, whatever, point and shoot camera. Is the first video I ever did. I knew nothing about video. My coach said, do video. I did one in a car. So this is not my very first one. This is one of my first videos with the camera though. Guess what I did? I ran a Facebook ad to build my email list on this first video with this camera that I knew nothing. I did a couple, like 2 test shots in the room, which didn't look great. I said, I'm just going to go outside and I'm going to make a video in the park. And I ran this as a Facebook ad to start growing my email list. Guess what? People clicked. I don't know why, because it looked like garbage. It wasn't even good for back in the day. That's one video. This is another video that plagues me. Canon T5i, just got it. Knew nothing about nothing with video, and whole focus of the channel and stuff like that was different. But I'm out here. I'm making content. I'm figuring stuff out. I was using Wondershare Filmora. It looks like trash. I thought it looked good to me because it was the best that I've done thus far, but it still wasn't the best that I could do. Guess what? This video still got published, and of the 2 likes, I'm one of them. Because I'm like, I'm gonna keep moving forward. I published a video. I'm like, why does it look like this? And why does it look like that? I didn't know. I was hearing where they could say, well, you can just get lights from the hardware store. And you know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, lights from the hardware store got me looking like this. Didn't know nothing about diffusion. I took some printer paper and I'm like, we're going to figure out this diffusion bit. But until then, I'm going to hit publish. So that video is hot garbage. Let's go one more. It's another video. This is another one. Didn't understand white balance. This video got published. When I'm telling you I'll press publish, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I keep these ugly videos. Of the 2 likes, I'm one of them. Knew nothing about white balance. I'm like, how do you get a bright look and not look like you're a deer in the headlights? I don't know. But I invested in audio. Let's see what this even sounds like, which I know the music used to be too loud back then. Still not great. Audio effects, I already know it's too loud, hella loud, breaks all my current rules. But this is creating in action. This was starting to get a little better, and this video took off for me compared to other ones. And of the 97 likes, I'm one of them. We're starting to get better, but I didn't understand, again, about exposing for yourself and then for a window light or something. So the background is blown out, but I looked better. The white balance was looking better. I think the audio was a little better. It wasn't that great. All right, don't worry about the audio. But I had a lapel on. We doing the best because DSLR audios sucked. I'm figuring it out. We're going to do one more and I'm going to move on to wrap this up. By the time I start getting here, I realized mirrorless sounded better because the preamps in what's the name I was getting better. But now you see how I was talking about hot shots? See that? Those spaces? See those big white blurbs on my face? They're not as pronounced as on the other older videos. I was constantly improving, but it still sucked. I didn't know what to do with the background either. Thank God for friends that could help. Buying effects and stuff. I'm like, well, what can I do? I didn't know how to get rid of the black. So I'm like, we're just going to leave it. I didn't know nothing about nothing. I'm figuring it out. Fast forward now. Let's go up front. So now we fast forward to present day Diana. Audio sounds better. All the stuff is fixed. B-roll, editing stuff. Shout out to my older now video editor, Judd. But you know what I'm saying? Like, stuff looks better. It looked good. You know what I'm saying? White balance is fixed. Color is fixed. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned a ton of things, but I was still hitting and pressing publish. All of these videos exist, and I keep those ugly ones out there for the small offshoot that I do a video like today. And I can just show you, I was publishing out in public. I didn't do no unlisted videos. I didn't do private videos. Throwaway videos have a place. And I talk about that in my book. But you know, it's like videos like that have a place. But at some point, you're going to have to hit publish. Those videos exist for a reason. I still mess up on certain things. Things go wrong. With technology, things are bound to go wrong. However, you have to be willing to press publish in pursuit of your passionate and purposeful work. I'm going to have to write that one down because it's that daggone good. You have to be willing to press publish in pursuit of your purposeful and your passionate work. You have to be willing to press publish. And I commend you, Beating with Nicole B. I commend you because those will be videos 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And you'll be like, dang, when I was building my brand, this is what the videos look like. So you're pressing publish. So I commend you on that. It's just making a tweak and then hit publish. You notice something else wrong, make the tweak, press publish. Most people will sit. This is why I will hit you on the hand though. Most people will sit and they will just have that camera sit in a closet collecting dust. Like it's a possibility. It's potential here, but we ain't unlocked it yet. Be willing to press publish in pursuit of your purposeful and passionate work. Be willing to press publish along the way. There's nothing lost in producing content to a place where like you feel like that video didn't do great. That video didn't represent you the best or whatever. By the time you publish more and more videos, those videos become old. Versus that being my last video where that was the best that I got was on the Canon T5i. So nothing's lost in the pursuit of you learning, in the process of you hitting publish. Don't be, you know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to, it can't look worse. I mean, it could, but it can't look worse. It might, but press publish and move on. Because you're going to do another video and you're going to do another live stream and you're going to keep showing up and you're going to keep growing and you're going to keep growing and keep doing your thing. So I commend you on pressing publish and going live and stuff like that. Now let's make some tweaks and then, you know what I'm saying, move forward, but keep pressing publish. But you're going to have to pull that camera out You're going to have to pull that camera out. Said Doc out here creating mic pops, so we waiting on Gladney's G85 mirrorless camera limited edition camera 2020. The day I make a camera, it would be Bee's Knees Hall of Fame. It would be. Who would I publish a camera? I still would publish a camera with Sony. All in all, I still would publish a camera with Sony. Said Sony ZV-E10 or Canon EOS R54 noob considering ease of use and quality, or does it even matter? Canon R50 or the ZV-E10. So I would say start off with who you think you might have a home with moving forward. If you think that's Canon for you and you think that that would make you happy to like, I was like, oh, I want to get the Canon R6 or the R7 or Mark IIs now. And it's like, oh, I really want to get this lens by such and like, if you can see yourself further up the lineup down the road, it could be 3 years down the road. But if you see yourself going with that brand, then that's where I was like, start with who you feel the most comfortable with. Start with where you think you would find the most joy and have the most happiness with. Like in the process of creating. For me, back in the day, you couldn't tell me the Canon M50 wasn't the best camera. It still hits my Bee's Knees Hall of Fame because of how much I love that camera and what it did in the marketplace at that time. It was doing all of those little right things right at that level and definitely not at that price point. So I didn't care that better cameras existed. And I did see myself going with Canon down the road, but I'm like, let me wait and see. It didn't happen fast enough for me personally. So I moved on and found a home with Sony. But it was nothing wrong with going with that. So if you think you'll have the most happiness and joy with it, go that route. I would say ZV-E10 Mark II versus the Mark I these days, because the Mark I is fine, but at the same price point, you can get the 2 and get so much better. So if you're going to get a ZV-E10 Mark II, get the second one. Pro tip, go to something like mpb.com and catch somebody that just missed the 30-day window. This is how I get all my cameras. It's like either B&H, MPB, Adorama, something like that. Somebody just missed a 30 turn window. They had day like 32, 33. Camera brand new. They don't know what to do. And they got to sell this camera because they don't want it anymore, but they can't just return it at that 30-day window. So now they got to sell it. It goes to a website like mpb.com, or they sell it to B&H or something. And then I get a brand new camera that's only like 31, 32 days old, but it's used because they're past that point. I get all my cameras like that. That's how I got the ZV-E1. So go with who you think would make you happy, who has the lenses that you want. I think Sony does a better job on third-party APS-C, and that's why I don't like kind of what Canon is doing, but you could get the Sigma 16 and they got some other stuff. I think theirs is like 11 to 22-ish for like their vlogging lenses and stuff. But people are like, oh, you can get the EOS, whatever, something. And I'm like, for the DSLR lenses, go with who you think what might make you happy. If I was choosing, if you're asking me as a content creator, you have no allegiance, you just don't know. And you don't know one way or the other, I would still go Sony because better, more reliable autofocus. At the same price point, I'm getting the fastest autofocus in the world, literally, and the most reliable autofocus in the world at that point. Period. Everybody's kind of having some level of overheating concerns to some point. So if I thought that it would be doing something like that, y'all seen me do 5-hour energy live streams. Build you a camera airboat, which I need to make that gosh darn video. I did a short on it, but I need to just do the video to break down the setup. But or get the Ulanzi camera fan. Let's not go extreme. Let's say you don't build a camera airboat like I did, but get the camera fan and be done with it and call it good. You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't make it too difficult for yourself. Just get what you need to get to create. And also the Z30 face tracking is trash, even for focusing. But for video, I need a better video cam. The Z30 is great for photo. That's what I said. Most of these other brands, they're close. But people doing this peekaboo and pop up to see how well your pop, lock, and drop it needs still work in the year of our Lord 20 and 24. Shoot. It's like, No, that's not the autofocus that I'm talking about. I'm saying if I get up and walk off screen right now and then come back, will it see me? Most of what you see with these other brands, and it's not bashing them, it's just facts. You'll see the crosshairs pop up for the autofocus on the face. But what you won't see is it acquire focus. It'll recognize, but it won't acquire focus. So it can be a box and a crosshairs or whatever. Is it actually acquiring focus? Sony actually acquires focus and it maintains that. I've shown y'all that before with the eye autofocus, and you see it go from that to the face to the body or whatever it needs to maintain focus on that person. So that's what I'm saying. All right, y'all got way more questions than I planned to do today. So we're going to take about a 2-minute break because I need to use the restroom and we'll be back. I'm going to throw the countdown timer on, but we're not going to roll for the whole thing. But I'm going to go use the restroom and we'll be right back after these messages. Y'all play too much. I'm thinking we're gonna do an hour live stream. We're gonna be good to go out here in these real and digital streets. All right, part 2 of the live stream this week. And the camera clinic is still open. If you need to hop on live, show your setup, ask your questions, I can share that link in the chat, and you can do so. Let me know though. But otherwise, if we don't, by the time I get to the end of the chat and we've answered all the questions in the chat, we'll have nobody needing to get into the patient's seat. We're gonna have to find a better seat name for that. And so you need to hop into the camera clinic. Okay, let the doctor assess your setup. Let me know. But if we're not, I'm gonna get to the end of the questions in the chat, and we're gonna call it good for the Helpcast this week. So let me go back to the questions that we had because y'all got way more than I thought. All right, so let's see here. All right. Catching up. Okay, so we answered this. Okay, got that one. Question. Sam, good to see you. Glad you're here. Said, hi, Diana. Is it better to use 1080p or 4K now? I noticed my phone and iPad automatically go to 1080p or lower on videos. Here's why I recommend 4K. But I'll give you an asterisk up to why you could probably get away with 1080p now and people would be none the wiser. But I'll start with why using 4K. Number one, it's a larger resolution. So imagine you have a glass of lemonade, right? If you have somebody that puts a lot of sugar in their lemonade or Kool-Aid or whatever, you could add some water to that and it's no big deal. You can water it down kind of because it's a lot more to it. That's kind of like how 4K is, where you have a lot more detail, a lot more depth, a lot more quality. So you can afford to stretch it out. You can afford to zoom in. You can afford to put it on a platform like Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. And even once their compression hits it and waters it down, it still will look great. You know what I'm saying? But if you are already at 1080p, it's basically a perfect lemonade. It's not extra sugary or whatever. It's good to drink as is. Once you water that down, it's not as palatable. It doesn't taste as good. Now, the asterisk that I said earlier of why you can probably get away with 1080p these days is because you have where the bit rate depth is more. It's better. It's higher quality. It used to be 1080p was already not that great. It was not as sharp and crispy. 1080p these days looks really sharp and crispy because it's at higher data rates. It has more in the 1080p, and a lot of cameras these days has 4K or 2.5K or something like that that is squeezed into that 1080p file. So, for example, on the ZV-E10 Mark I, the 4K is truly 6K that's just squeezed into that 4K image, that 4K quality and resolution. 1080p, it's just 1080p. There's nothing squeezed into it. A lot of cameras now these days in their 1080p either have a higher bit rate, so it already is a higher quality, or it's a 2.5K or a 4K that is squeezed into that 1080p file. So depending on the camera that you have and depending on, honestly, lighting makes a huge difference with what you have. You can get away with 1080p and people are none the wiser. It looks great at 1080p because it's a higher quality 1080p. The ZV-E1 is a good example of that for me. For example, because it's a higher quality 1080p, there's more going into that 1080p than my ZV-E10 Mark I, right? So that's how that kind of works. So depending on the camera, and honestly for the quality and the way the sensors and stuff is made these days, it looks good. 1080p is not the same 1080p of yesteryear. All right, let's see here. So I've learned that too, delaying the stream isn't bad if you have to fix stuff before starting. Yeah, it's like people want to see you start. If they're watching the replay, it's different when you're live than if you're watching the replay. For example, the little restroom break that I just took in, I don't know how many seconds that was, but it's like that is not that big of a deal probably in a live stream because you could probably go use the restroom too, or you get you some water or check your phone or something. And then I'm back. But in the replay, especially if I'm pushing, it's like, hey, you can watch the replay of X, Y, and Z. Well, they don't want to skip, or they can be like, Dag, how long is this going to last? Lose interest, something on the sidebar looks more interesting, click. You know what I'm saying? It don't take much for people to deter their attention. So you already want to do as many things as possible to prevent them from deterring their attention. It's a big deal. So yes, I've been using my S22 Ultra, saying, wow, you picked out the lighting areas perfectly. The lighting in my rooms are horrible. I just said this yesterday that I need to be ready when the camera comes on. Yeah, so it's just like when you're watching your stuff, especially when I decided I wanted to do more speaking stuff, then I was like, any interview that I'm doing, I need to listen back to the interview. So I give it a day or something, because the way I remember something happening oftentimes it's not the way it actually happened in real life. So we're always tweaking stuff to make ourselves better, to, adhere to our egos or what have you. Even if you don't have a big one, we all have some version of one or something. You know what I'm saying? We remember sometimes things better or differently, even slightly, than what actually happened. So objectively as I can, I would listen back to the interview and I'm like, dag, I should have answered. I'm answering a question I was pre-thinking in the process of them asking the question, what I thought they was going to ask around. I got distracted by my own thought, didn't fully answer that question. They were fine with what I gave, but I also was like, I could have done better there. Or it's like, for me, one of the things was like, well, let me just ask that question again. Make sure I heard you right so I can think, like, is the answer I'm thinking to give the right one, kind of a thing. So I watch my streams, I watch my videos so that I can objectively look back at them like, why does it look like this? Or why did that happen? How come this is happening in the audio? Or what can I do to fix this or whatever? I'm still pressing publish in between, but I'm also like, I need to do something about that. Like, you know what I mean? So I'll give you an example. In between some of those shots was, oh, this is a really bad one. Here's another, when I tell y'all, I'm not kidding when I say practice and publish, practice by publishing. This was a video. I was like, how do you get the background light bright? But I'm like, it's too bright on my face. And I'm like, copying camera settings on YouTube don't work. I'm like, yeah, just do this and F point this and ISO this. It don't work for you. Your environment is always going to be different. You know what I'm saying? And even if that, like your skin tones, your hues, all those different things are slightly different. What additional lighting is in the room? What is that lighting happening on your face? So this is like an example of, I'm just like, how do I fix this crap? I'm like, the camera's good. I know it is. And I'm like, what is going on? So this is another one where it just like, Lord have mercy. Pressing publish regardless though. But you just need to just work through some of those things, but get and invest in good lighting. I said earlier, was it dyna.link/lights? Yeah. I'm gonna put that in the chat if I didn't already. dyna.link/lights, and I'll show you exactly what my stuff is. This is the lights that I've been using for I don't know how long. This is Viltrox VL200 kit. And so these are frosted. People get this confused because they'll say, oh, I don't need diffusion because these already have that whatever it is over it. And you'll see these and get distracted by it. No. Most of the images, most of the time, are kind of fake. You know what I'm saying? So what you need to do is get diffusion. This light kit has held me down in all scenarios. Like I've done all kinds of stuff with these. I freaking love them. There are better ones even out now, but I just kind of haven't needed to upgrade or change or whatever. I have some things that I kind of want to do with the lighting, but that's one thing. The diffuse, let me get my keyboard, diffuse pop-up or softbox lights. Since I have the LED panels, like I said, the dome thing is just my quirk with it. I felt uncomfortable, and these were not $74 when I got them. The price has gone up ridiculously since like 2018, 2019. So obviously, I guess that comes with popularization of it. But these are the soft boxes that I use. It gives me the light softness and the spread of those super big domes, but it doesn't take up a lot of space. And I went with this one. I don't have the grid because that wasn't out for this yet, but I don't have the little grid thing, but that way I could use my softbox, not softbox. I could use this. Well, yeah, I could use the softbox with the LED light panel, and it comes with the little Velcro strips or whatever. And so it's not big, and these collapse down to the size of your hand, literally. So I freaking love these. They have the square ones if you want them. They have the smaller ones if you want them, because I needed the light to spread to cover more of my face, the environment, and like my desk. So when I show stuff, occasionally when I do show my desk, am I showing this anymore or no? Okay, maybe I wasn't showing you that at all, and I was in my own world over here. But I didn't have this, but this is the Defuse softbox lights, and so they condense down, and they're hella small. So I freaking love these. I've traveled with these to do videos. I don't have to anymore, and so I just have this set up in the office. Those two things, that Defuse softbox light, like I said, they got the square ones or whatever like that. They don't throw the light as much as I need them to, so I didn't go that route. This is what I was saying, like the parabolic type dome shape that see like Neewer, all these other guys are using. That's just too big for me. Like I said, I just felt a little bit claustrophobic with all of that. Like I said, it feels like you're in the first 48 room. I don't know how else to put it. It feels like you're in the first 48 room with Detective Mason. Shoot. So I'm like, I'm not down with that. It's fine if you got a big enough space or whatever. I don't want all that. Viltrox VL200 kit, been my ride or die. And they $150. And I think they go down to like $112, or they have in past years for like Black Friday. So I always share these on the After Thanksgiving Day sales. We will do a live stream for the best deals for that day when we do the After Thanksgiving Day sales and stuff like that. I'm even going to be putting some products and stuff, digital products and stuff that I have for sale discounted on that day. So FYI, if you don't know, now you know. All right, questions. Oh, there he is. What's up, Luis? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. I was telling them about the true story about the jalapeno Cheetos. Shoot, I'm just saying. Saying what live stream or what software are you using? Hello, Franklin Rodriguez. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying what live stream okay, in English, what software are you using for this live stream? I use the incredible Ecamm Live that allows for me to show you hashtag all of the things behind, which is just the website at this point, but show you all the stuff, bring your questions up, and I could even play with your thing. Let me move this out the way and adjust. So when people say that dark chocolate is the best, and I can say, by the way, I love white chocolate. Chocolate. Yes. Oh, collate. How many other people still do that, even though we're adults? We're adults and we can spell. So I could do that or whatever. Put your question back up, play with it, do all those different things. Fun, but it allows for me to, so that you can fix people's stuff and be like, by the way, I love white chocolate. So if you don't, that probably hurts your feelings, but I'm okay with that because white chocolate is the way. But yeah, I use Ecamm Live for all my live streaming. Any videos you see on my channel where I'm sitting at my desk, even sometimes back there, I'm using Ecamm Live. It is the Bee's Knees Hall of Fame. All right, let's go to some other questions. I got to scroll back up because I did skip a few. Ooh, Lordy. Said I think I need to go the LED route. Okay, I hear you. All right. I'm trying to catch up to the chat in the questions. Let's see. It's an Alexa be this. Alexa gonna get fired. I tell you that much right now. She only show out when we're in public. Doing this she like, I ain't hear that. Can you say that again? Shoot. Said thank you so much for critiquing me. That means everything. I was planning to try my pop voice, lav mic, and invest in better lighting. If you just be cautious of, man, I don't have time to go into everything. If you're doing a lapel mic, even if it's wireless, it's a little bit different. But if you're doing a lapel mic, clip to your shirt, wire running. I got the pop voice from back in the day, so theirs aren't extremely long unless they made other versions of that. Just be careful going across your computer, going across a power cable or something like that. Sometimes it can pick up interference. Do a test to see where your cable falls when you're hooked up and connected to make sure it doesn't cross over. Also see how your beads sound when you're handling them and stuff like that, because the closer you get to the microphone, the more that is going to be picked up and the more it's going to compete with your voice. I would probably recommend you get a podcast style microphone for that kind of setup, but you're kind of remote. So even like you might be able to get away with a wireless kind of a setup, but it just kind of depends. If you stationary though, I would just invest in the stuff to make that stationary setup sing the best in that environment. Same question. I posted my first video and I feel like it looks bad. I adjusted my white balance on my camera to match my light, the Amaran 60X, which is an excellent one. And then you got the mini softbox. Any tips? Let's take a look, Alex. Welcome to the Camera Clinic. We got Alex in the seat right now. So let's go over to the Tubes U. Sam Alex. Or Alexis, not Alex. Let's see if it comes up with your channel. So first of all, a basketball player of some sort comes up. So, and then a soap opera from General Hospital. So what is your handle name so we can figure out who's who? This is why, pro tip, I always put my channel name in my tags and stuff on YouTube because other people come up. So I did the @SamAlexis. So now you come up. So you got the Sam Alexis. All right, so cool. But yeah, that way if somebody types in your name and they search for you on YouTube, they actually can see you. So if that is what you're going to be doing, just start putting your name and your stuff so you can start showing up versus General Hospital and the drama of such. So you said you did your first live or first video, not first live. So let's check it out. So 3 days. Okay, so a year ago, Nikon 3200. Let's take a look.
I'm a wife, a mama.
Hold up. Girl, did you see my first video? Like, what are we talking about here? Let me cut the music. Did you see my first video? You just said you did you don't have any of the issues I had in that. I didn't even show you my first video. I was sweating with the Whitney Houston lip sweat. So first of all, give yourself some grace because sister, you did a freaking fantabulous job. So shout out to you. Get a little round of applause. Because let's show the good. All right, let's point out the good before we go into like negative thoughts around why it's not, because that's not the case. We can always make refinement. That's the word I want to encourage you to learn. You're refining your look to maybe match what you have in your head, but this does not look bad. You know what I'm saying? This does not look bad. Let's point out some of the excellent things that you did. Now, I'm gonna cut the music on just so we can rock the vibe. All right, we're gonna cut it down though, because that's hella loud. All right, so let's refine. That's all we're doing. Let's see what you did right. First of all, let's check the hot spots. These are perfect. Perfect. We even have the hue gradation in our lips, which everybody has. That's what I'm saying. Like, you want to see the proper gradation. Perfect. The white of your sweatshirt or your shirt is not looking like an infinity white. These parts are always going to be a little harder to deal with. Don't judge that too much, because that's a different type of lighting setup when you have to do something like that. You got, what is that, like Power Love and Sound and a Sound Mind or whatever. It's enough to where it's like that, a brand aesthetic in the background. So if that's your phrase, if that's the title of your new book, if that's your podcast or whatever, you can see it without it being necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly the same reason why I have my book in the background. You see it without it having to be right here next to my face. You did a fantastic job. You got your aesthetic there. It's a clean image. So your hair does not even like if we look down here, we will see, like, versus here, you got excellent, like, kind of roll off for the lighting. So your exposure is right. Maybe for the white balance a little bit, we do see more bluish tones. So those cooler tones, but you have to account for that when you're thinking about the light. You have a window here. We got a window here and we got two window here. So we're getting a ton of light. Depending on the time of day, whether it's in the latter part of the day and the sun has gone down a little bit, you're hitting blue hour. Before the sun kind of comes up a little bit, you're getting blue hour there as well. And then throughout the day, depending on if it's overcast type of day, there are bluish hue tones outside. So in the wintertime especially, this is something to be aware of, you'll have bluer hue type tones. What I do to combat that a little bit, I just changed the white balance, or not the white balance, the kelvins, and warmed that up a couple notches. And I mean like 2 or 3 for my white balance. I don't change a ton, but this is not bad. If that's true to life for your skin tones, you did a fantastic job. Only thing I would say framing wise, bring the camera down. And I get it, if you have a large bust like I do. I don't like showing my bust either, but there's a way to do it, kind of like how I have my frame now, where if you look, you don't see a ton of, like, I'm not cut off at the shoulders, and that is a preference. If you like that look, that's fine. But you still see I'm just about at the same height, but I don't have more than 3 to 4 fingers above my head for room space. So that height that you have above you, all that is a very slight tilt down on your camera very, very slightly. That way you just don't have so much headroom. You just want about 4 or so fingers above your head so that you don't have a ton of ceiling room. You can still show it, but you know what I'm saying? It's a slight tilt down. But you did a fantastic job there. Let's go back to it. Let's listen real quick. I'm trying to be
diving back into the world of entrepreneurship. Starting a new business with a family can be a lot, but I'm excited to make it work.
Let's talk about a couple things that I do regardless. So I listen with the audio. We either have a shotgun mic in a room that's not sound treated. My room is not sound treated either. Not a big deal. But if we are having that, we're going to get that noisy room type scenario. And so you can see here, like where you zoom in, I'm going to pause right here to get a more natural frame, at least to the neckline where you have like the, what do you call these bones? These bones right here. I can't think at the moment. Whatever it is. These ones, I cannot think of these bones for right now. Anyway, these right here, collarbones or something like that. You at least want that, like when you punch in for like a full headshot. Again, this is just refining it a little bit, and just that slight tilt down will do that. So that way we not cut off at the chin in the bottom of the frame. That's all that is. And adjusting your framing will allow you to punch in more normally when you're doing that kind of stuff. But audio wise though, if we listen to this,
Always had a love for beauty and creativity.
So first of all, eyebrows on fleek, okay? Hair on fleek. But what you'll notice though, audio wise, you'll get that room type noise when you're using like a shotgun microphone. Even if you listen to those older videos we went through, you have a lapel mic on or whatever in a roomy type noise or whatever. The voice isolation and like Final Cut Pro, stuff like that, even like Auphonic, I have a video on Auphonic that'll fix some of those things. It can kind of help to make it a little bit better. But it's minor tweaks when it comes to audio. I don't record in a sound treated room either. So there's that. The other thing, when you're looking at this without audio, who you are on camera is who people think that you are. You know what I'm saying? So we're getting your tonality in your voice. We're seeing personality. We're seeing smile. And the biggest thing that a lot of people make a mistake on, they do not keep eye contact with the camera. So you're doing so many things right, you just don't realize it. Like seriously, you can make refinements and make tweaks to it, but you're doing a ton right. You will find more of the things that you want to do to get a certain look or a certain way as you are creating. You will learn your space. You'll find yourself, quote unquote. You'll see more of yourself on camera. You're doing a ton right. It looks great. I don't even think the cool bluer hue tone is wrong. It just is, it's a little different. Like mine is super warm. Like look at my image. My image is super warm just because I don't want a bluish, hueish kind of tone. You know what I'm saying? It's by design. I could turn it down. It just is a preference, honestly. I could even do that in Ecamm if I wanted to. So it's really just more of a refinement of you doing what you want. Like I said, if I adjusted this in Ecamm and I brought it more closer, you'll see how my skin tonality is starting to change as I bring down that white balance. And this would be fine, would be great. Nobody would be none the wiser. Mine is, I think, because we're getting ready to switch right now into winter. So I usually warm my image up because the window light that's coming in is going to be hella blue. So it's just to offset that. But if you don't have window lighting and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about those kind of things. But it's just a preference. But you just notice like you lose a little bit of the coloration in the skin. But again, white balance impacts that image more than you think. So the white balance, the bluish hue, is not bad. You did a freaking amazing job. So kudos to you. Don't judge yourself too harshly. You actually did a great job. And I mean that sincerely. You did a fantastic job. What are you talking about? Don't compare yourself to nobody else's video. Compare your videos to your videos, period. Your next video should be the best video that you've made thus far. And if it's not, then you have at least the base. So what I would recommend is when you going through and you looking at your stuff, take a picture of the camera settings or record with your phone the camera settings on the screen and talk through it. Matter of fact, I can show you what I'm talking about. And I would encourage y'all to do this. I'm going to give y'all the proest of pro tips. I don't even think I've shared this in a place. Let's see the docs. Okay. Is this it? I think so. So I have certain settings that to me look ideal, that I like. And when I'm, go here. Excuse me. When I'm sharing, like when I'm doing a certain kind of look, I'm telling y'all the same stuff that I do. So if I want to repeat and replicate a certain kind of look and aesthetic, and I really like that, and maybe I just did some minor tweaks or something like that and made some changes. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is make a document of that. So I record what those are. So I have a document that says what my ideal settings are for my A roll and what my ideal settings are for my B roll. This, for example, is for my B roll. Last updated May 2nd. I go through. This is on S-Cinetone. We had 4,700 kelvins. I'm like, but the camera is on 4,000. So I'm offsetting that to adjust for my skin. That's just something I've done. I didn't learn that anywhere. Just something that I figured out to get what I want. Matching 4,700 for the light to the camera, it just didn't always work for me and my skin tones and stuff like that. Beside the point, the LUT that I use, I'm like, we had roughly 65% when we're in editing or whatever. These are the camera settings in here, and then go through the picture profile breakdown, which this is what my stuff is in the camera. And again, it's what I like, your own personal aesthetic. So I chose what everything is going to be. Got +9 on the black level, S-Cinetone, I2709 matrix, and the saturation is a -2 because the LUT is already going to add in more orange stuff. So I don't need all of that. The detail for the -3 is dialed down, so it's not as sharp. So this is the kind of image those settings replicate. This is what I do when I say I tweak settings or making adjustments or whatever. All I'm trying to do is either get to a new look that I've thought about in my head that I like, something that I saw that somebody else did, or I'm like, dag, I like this look right here that you see for the B-roll. This is my brand aesthetic for my B-roll. I love it. It looks great. It's going to be on the Sony 35, probably at a f1.8. Sigma 16 can replicate this for the wide look, but not for close up. So I'm going to put all those details in specifically. And like here, what I say, Sony 35, f1.8 lens, but it's at an f2.8. Shutter speed, 119.9. We already talked about why that is so high for that. For video, H.265. Like, record your stuff. Put it in a Google Doc or something so that I use Dropbox. Dropbox will save that document for you. They even have documents inside the thing or whatever. But that way I can say, this is what it should look like. This is what those settings in my environment with the light and the gear and stuff that I have looks like. It's different, slightly different on the ZV-E10 because it doesn't have S-Cinetone, but it's not too different. Right? It's not too different. It's a little different, but it's not too different. So something to consider when we're talking about stuff like that. So for example, this is going to be updated for the, I need my preview. There we go. So this is going to be updated for the headshot because I changed this slightly. It's a little warmer, but because I'm doing full frame, my lens was no longer like the Sigma 16. So I'm like, okay, I'm either using the Tamron or the Viltrox, and it's going to be 20 millimeter f2.8 at f3.2 now. Shutter speed still the same, blah, blah, blah. Still using the LUT, still at the same. All the settings and stuff is still the same or whatever. And it will produce a look similar to this. What I don't like about this is more of the yellowish hue, and the pink highlights in my skin are not present. So the white balance is going to change on this slightly to update what kind of a image that those kind of settings look like. It's not bad. It just isn't replicating the look I see in my head that I like best. Like I said, it's not bad. Nobody would be none the wiser. It just is a little too yellow for me. Sometimes I like the golden type look that I called it in my head or whatever, and sometimes I don't. And so it's just all preference. It's just all a preference. But if you have not done something like that for your settings, you should not be like, when I say I live by set and forget it, figure out what's the closest settings that you can get. Even if you know nothing about nothing, take a picture of you like this in front of the camera. Take a picture of those settings on the screen. Make sure you're not blocking your face. So if you have like auto settings, like automatic white balance or auto exposure, it doesn't reacquire and adjust for the phone being in the way. You notice like when I held my book up earlier, as I talk about in my book, as I held my book up earlier, it's my settings are locked. So I can do this all day long, but you notice how the white and stuff is not properly exposed as best and whatever else. It's because my settings ain't gonna change. If yours would, hold it off to the side like this and then take the picture so it's not like blocking your face or impacting the image or something like that. Or if you got somebody at home to help, have them take it. But take a picture, do a recording and say, these are my sample settings that I'm doing right now. It's November the 8th, 2024. We are at memory recall number 1. The settings are saved at X, blah, blah, blah. Name off everything. The ISO is this. The aperture is this. I see this on the camera. Note all those different things. Even better, show the settings, like how I showed y'all with the ZVE10. So, pro tips for your day. All right, let's get through these final questions, I think. So I think I need to go the LED route. Are you filming with the M50? No, this is specifically with the Sony ZVE1 camera. I used to. Now I loved the freaking M50 back in the day. Couldn't tell me nothing. Good Steve Corbin. Glad you're here. Saying I use a ring light to the left, table light to the right, and a ring light in front of me. The room itself is sort of dark, though. I have to work to get my channel right. Again, thank you. You're very welcome. So, like I said, you can get light bulbs, and your light bulbs will say what Kelvin it is on the box. Where was I looking that I saw that? I think I maybe shared that. I don't know. Let's go to Amazon, though, and I'll show you. Let's do LED light bulbs. You also got to be careful once you do put your camera up to make sure it's not flickering or any of that kind of stuff. You'll usually see like what the lumen is and stuff like that, but let's go, oops, not the ZVE10. I want to show you this one. So if you look up here, going to, actually the settings say it up here in the thing. See that 2700K? It'll tell you what that light will look like. It's 2700 kelvins. If you put 2700 kelvins in your camera, you could see what that would probably look like, or how much warmer or how much cooler it is or whatever. So whatever the light is, most of the daylight temperature LED panels, if it's only one thing, is just say daylight, it'll tell you what it is. If it's 5,000 kelvins or whatever, if it's 4,500 kelvins, whatever it is, it'll tell you what it is. You can get light bulbs to match that Kelvin. Just type in whatever that number is, K, LED light bulb or light bulb or whatever. Something like that. You can even get a small LED panel, like I've talked to y'all about before. So that's possible. All right. See, I know this message is far down after your response, but I wanted to say that I appreciate the love. That I'm not offended at all. Glad that it was received in the spirit that it was given. Never do anything try to harm you. I'm just trying to help. Saying okay with the hot spots. Yeah, it's like hot spots are always going to be here. That's why you see like in news or movie or films, they'll have like a paper or something, or they're blotting their face to get rid of the oils in their skin. They're going to have makeup and stuff on, but they want to get rid of the oils in their skin to reduce the shininess of the hot spots. And so you can kind of do the same thing. Obviously don't be ashy, but you do the same thing. But lighting, how well is that light going to reflect on your skin? So that's why I was complimenting Sam, because her stuff looks good. I'm like, you don't have those, the hot spots you're fine. You have even exposure, you're great. And so you did a great job. So let's see here. Saying I just clipped that quote. I'm gonna have to give you credit. That was a good one. So yeah, I have been wanting to make those changes, but wasn't sure how to do or what to do. Little bit by little bit. GT Retro World, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying hello, Dinah. Great to see you live again. Well, it is good to see you again. Love that picture. It looks funny. And so like energetic. And so when I looked at it on TV, it didn't look great. It looks too dark. Okay. So here's what you can do. Here's what I do. When you're testing new settings, this is where you do want to use what I call a throwaway video. Do your test. All your test is you sitting in front of the camera in your space and say what those settings are. If you felt like it was too dark, you can say the aperture is at X, Y, and Z. It's at a f1.8. And I'm moving it to an f1.8 to an f1.4. On the screen, it looks to me, this is exactly what my throwaway videos and sample test videos look like. It's like on the screen, the camera screen, it's looking a little too bright here. Or it's like the white shirt is way overexposed. It's the way it looks to me. The window maybe looks fine, X, Y, and Z. Say what you're actually seeing on the thing. Which is why I use setup like this for a live streaming, and I'll test it this way. If it looks too dark for what you want compared to how you like and would like your stuff, then just name it. So for me, if I was to judge this image for now, I'd probably say, yeah, the image is too orange. I don't like it's too warm. I'm not getting the pinkish hues that I want. I need to adjust the white balance. Because I remember I didn't set the white balance back from when I was messing with it before, going through camera settings. So I know it's off because it's not my ideal settings. So what I'm going to do once this stream is over is fix my white balance, because I know that's all it is. But I'm saying what those settings are. Upload that as a private video. You don't have to do unlisted because you're not sharing it with anybody. Upload that as a private video to YouTube. Go watch it on your TV. Go watch it on your computer. Go watch it on your phone. Those 3 different devices will give you, because TVs do contrasty looks anyway. You don't really, you can't really tell with film, but all of them kind of have their own aesthetic. The Matrix had like a greenish hue when you were in the Matrix. It had more of a warmer, vibrant life look to it when they were in whatever they call it, the place where Zion, that's what it was, Zion. It was a warmer when you was like out of the Matrix, you in the real world, right? It's an aesthetic. If you watch any recent film, they make the image look like what they want to. Same is true with you and your videos. Whatever you're imagining, whatever you're trying to do, go look at it and see like, how does it look? Then make the adjustment. So I'll sit and I'll be like, ISO is at such and such. I'm dropping it down. That looks right on camera. Let me see what I need to do. Because sometimes the best thing is just to get it as close to right as possible. And then I will drop that file in editing. Get it close to right as possible in the camera. Drop it into editing and see, is this something that I would make a minor tweak with in editing? Or is this something that I can fix in the camera? If it's just like a minor tweak kind of a thing, then I save that as a preset, drop those preset settings and be done with it. So like I said, I know my white balance is off now, but Otherwise, you know what I'm saying? It's an aesthetic. It's a preference. I can turn the lights off, do a darker theme. It's all a preference of what you want. So if you think it's too dark, figure out what you need to do to adjust for yourself, for example. So I have been gagging to go live for over a year. I'm just afraid my channel has gone down a route I didn't actually really intend it to go. I would say it's up to you. I showed those older videos earlier in my stream. I did not used to talk about camera tech and stuff like that. That wasn't the direction. That was a passion that I uncovered, but it was not initially what I started with. I didn't make any announcements that this is what the channel is going to be. I just changed it because I was still growing the channel, but not enough to do, here's why I haven't been posting videos, and here's what I'm going to post videos, and never actually get around to posting those actual videos. I saw through my analytics and through my own energy that I was giving to it as well. I loved, I enjoyed, I got extreme gratification out of helping to simplify the video content creation process, being a content creating entrepreneur. And so I was making videos for my business, doing coaching and consulting, but I keep running into these video problems. Nobody at the time on YouTube was explaining it in the way that was in plain English, that made sense. Not to be a videographer, not to be a photographer, to make content for the business, period. Now it's a lot of that out there. You'll see like people talking about content, but it wasn't, it wasn't even content creation like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't a market in that way. Present day, if I wanted to switch the brand, I would probably need to make more of a thing about it. But if you're just growing your channel more or less, you don't need to make announcements. Go ahead and start posting that stuff. You'll have attrition. People will go. And some people will stay and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you like this too. Like if I wanted to make this channel about anime and I'm talking about Naruto and I just like Black Clover and I'm talking, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, ain't nobody, they be like, I didn't come to you to talk about anime. I wanted to know how to make this camera work. You know what I'm saying? So they can be like, I'm not staying for this. If I'm posting even content around camera stuff, but still not specifically what they want, they like, I'm not staying for this. So your content is always attracting and repelling people. Let it repel the wrong people and let those who maybe were attracted by something else, let it go. Like, I don't doubt at some point I might maybe cover a Canon camera at some point again. You know what I'm saying? But it's not probably ever going to be my main camera. So everybody that came for Canon and that's all that they wanted and they're still with Canon, had somebody earlier mention that specifically. It's like, I'm still with a Canon. I don't care I'm getting more into camera agnostic stuff, but the thing is, or brand agnostic rather, so it don't matter what brand of camera you're using, it still applies regardless, but you're going to see it on the Sony camera because that's the lineup that I think is best for creators. But if they specifically wanted Canon stuff, they probably gonna leave over time because I'm not specifically doing Canon stuff. To that I say, have a great day. You know what I'm saying? Like, let them go find what actually will be best for them. Sometimes people circle back around and sometimes they don't. But I would not hold back the right content that you're passionate about making content about for the sake of losing the people that you don't want to make content for, the thing that's going to keep them. Go ahead and move. Let them go. Let them go or make a decision. You know what I'm saying? That's all you're doing most of the time when we're producing content. We're giving people the opportunity to make a decision to either be attracted or repelled by what we're doing. If you want to stay, you enjoy this kind of stuff, you like what you heard, you got value out of it, you're going to tell them, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. We talk about X. We talk about how to simplify content creation with your camera. We make it so you're more confidently creating with your camera. So it's easy to press publish and have your videos look dope. If that's not what you want, you don't have to. The subscribe button works both ways. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't worry about that. Produce the right kind of content that is right for the kind of content that you want to make. If you have people ask, which I've had people ask, Are you going to make anything around this? Nope. It's not kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm not going down a rabbit hole. Smartphones is one of the things. I hate smartphones. I just do, personally. I'm not going to frustrate myself to all hell trying to do something. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not. At some point, do I doubt at some point? I probably will, but I'm going to go begrudgingly. But I'm not going to make it an all smartphone because it's not my jam. When you come to the channel here is at the point you were ready to make the investment in a camera moving forward. You can still have the phone. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not against it. I'm just not going to. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody wants that, they go elsewhere. Allow people the space to make the decision, but produce the content that's right for the channel and the brand that you want to grow. Don't be afraid of that. So, and don't be trying to hoard people for the sake of numbers. Just don't. You know what I'm saying? Because you can be like, my channel sucks, but people suck. They haven't become your people yet. They are people that are giving you the opportunity to serve them. That's what a subscriber is. They're people giving you the opportunity to serve them the content that you said you were going to do. If that has changed, that's cool. They'll see the new stuff that you're posting and then they'll go someplace else if it's the right choice for them. So if it is a big deal and it's a major shift, that's when I would make an announcement, because it's never a negative. It's always just like an announcement of here's what's coming. And then you'll find what's crazy? I'm saying all this. There are people that I've gotten a message from that I'll see leave a comment on the YouTube channel that's been a subscriber of mine since I first started this channel. For sure, under 500 subscribers years ago. You know what I'm saying? And they still are subscribed all these years later through all the transitions, because that's when you then start to develop those 1,000 true fans that you'll start hearing about, and your people that's your ride or dies. So, or ride and lives, because we're not doing no Thelma and Louise, let's jump off the cliff together. We ain't doing all that. We're going to ride and live. We're going to ride and live. So that's okay. That's cool. But so if it's a big deal and it's a big shift, and if you were going to do something just like, hey guys, I'm so excited to announce to the channel the new direction that we're getting ready to go. We finna make, but already have the videos made so you can show B-roll of that, or at least do something. Do some clips. If you got B-roll clips of what you need to make or whatever, let's say you're going into journalism, I don't know. Just have some B-roll sample clips of what you're doing so that there's proof. Because nobody want to hear you talk about it. They want to hear you walk about it. So it's I'm super pumped, excited. We're going to be talking about anime on the channel. We're going to talk about Black Clover. And I finally start watching such and such. And yesterday I was watching Yu Yu Hakusho. And, it's and they can be like, I didn't come here for anime. Goodbye. And you say, thank you for being here for as long as you were. No worries if this is no longer what you need. Kind of a thing. Some people will wait and see. But, it's fine. You're growing a community. Think about it. I'm going to get off the soapbox. But I'll put it to you this way. Because this is something that happens with some of all of us at some point. There are people that you unsubscribed for, and you haven't thought about them again probably until this example now. There are channels that you don't even remember who they were. You just notice, I don't like whatever it is you're trying to do. I really don't even remember you. I'm finna go. So sometimes it's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? So don't pay attention to the subscribe stuff. Pay attention to the content. Your content is always going to be attracting and repelling regardless. And shout out to Beating with Nicole B. Thanks for the super chat saying thank you. You know what? I appreciate you. Let me find my applause music. So shout out to Beating with Nicole B out here. I need to get my effects back for the live streams, because I forgot that my favorite one was that Metal Gear Solid one. Was what was that noise? I need to get my effects back for the stream. My apologies. But thank you, Beating with Nicole B. Appreciate you. But yeah, don't be afraid to shift. Don't be afraid to shift. But when you bring it, have proof. That's all I'm going to say. That's a better way to let people kind of make a decision if they want to stay or go. Let them see what's coming. Don't say, here's what I'm going to do, and then you haven't done it. If you're announcing that stuff in that video, have it. Which is why I said, here's the newsletter. Not that I'm going to make. We're 5 issues in. The news, people that's already in the email community got it first dibs. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like publicly out. Now it's out of alpha going into beta. And it's like, it's out. It's releasing. There's content for you to consume versus here's what I want to do kind of a thing. So something to consider as you're going through that. All right, let me catch up to the chat. Hold on. Dang, the chat be going. Saying great tunes. So I'm glad you're enjoying the music. Love a little vibe here. Saying me and my the Logitech C920. I still got mine. Saying not ready for the camera clinic. I produce videos and live streams with the Logitech C920 and the Audio Technica ATR 2100 microphone. I did plenty of videos for that. I also did y'all see me now on the Primal Video YouTube channel. My first video just came out on the channel for Gling AI. So check out if you follow Justin and the Primal Video YouTube channel. They got like over 1 million subscribers. I was about to say over 1,000. They got like over 1 million subscribers on that channel. So working with them now, doing some content on their channel. So my first video just came out, but you'll see some other ones come out soon that I did. But I talked about that, like my Logitech C920. I did hella streams and hella YouTube videos with it. It looked better than my smartphone at the time because my smartphone's camera, they weren't the same cameras of today. So you can do what you need to do. It's the camera junkie in the building. Saying I stepped out and ordered a 4K camera, but I don't think my M1 was ready because my camera majorly overheated and the stream was dragging big time. It's not the computer. It's usually the cables. Cables and all of that. When it comes to streaming, and especially streaming, but if you're connecting your camera up to your computer type thing, cables. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Have good cables, have fast cables. Know the ports on your computers and the associate devices that you use. Which ports are the faster ones and which ports are the slower ones. You need to know that stuff. Guess how you're going to find out? The manual. If not a manual, a YouTube video. But figure out what the ports are. There are dedicated ports that I only use for my cameras, and there are other ones that can kind of be used for anything. But there are also ones where it's just like, these are the fastest ones. If I'm doing something with data, doing something with my SD cards or whatever, these are the ones that I want to use because they're the fastest. So pay attention to that kind of stuff. Connect your devices accordingly. Have good cables. And if you have, most of everybody have Wi-Fi. If you're close in proximity, run an Ethernet cable and use Ethernet. It's going to give you the fastest speeds that you're paying for. If your camera's overheating, Elgato camera fan. Or you can build a camera airboat if you plan to go for the goal with extended live streams, like 5-hour energy live stream type setups. That's why I just built my camera airboat. So I'm like, when I set up here, I'm not taking down or anything other than just I'm grabbing the camera or I'm putting the camera back up there or whatever. Just until we're through with this season of having to deal with this kind of stuff. But if the stream is dragging, check your cables, connect Ethernet instead of Wi-Fi. Ethernet should be the first connectivity and then let Wi-Fi be the backup. But your cables, 2 is 1, 1 is none. And then make sure you connect it to the right ports. So yes, thanks for the link for the light. I was definitely going to ask. You're very welcome. Louise know the truth with them Cheetos. Shoot. Saying I have a common name. Said I'll do that. Yeah. In your video, start putting your, not the @ handle, but just your name. Because it's like, I don't know if it's a kid's channel or a lady named Diana something that's like much larger. So that's why it's like you'll see it's like Diana Gladney camera, Diana Gladney Sony, because people started adding that to it. So once I saw that for my name, I'm ranking in YouTube when people search, because they weren't finding my name, I was building my brand and stuff. Diana Gladney brought up whatever YouTube thought. So now I'm like, nope, these people searching for this stuff, that's me. So that's why you'll see like people type in Diana Gladney camera, Diana Gladney Sony type stuff, or now it's just like the handle @ Diana Gladney. So now it's like a strong representation of that, but I at least put that in everything. Saying watching, watch your own stuff, judge your own content. It said make sure you watch it in the highest quality available. Good point. Yep, that's true. So that's why I made the handle the same as my channel name. Yep, good point. So I watched myself in 360 in 360p. It's looking like looking like a Minecraft character. I feel you. Sometimes it's okay to be out in the backwoods in the boonies on the highway somewhere, and it's like that's all you can get signal wise. But yeah, it's like you're trying to judge yourself. You're like, oh man. Then I just use my name. Yeah, I feel you. Do what you got to do. Whatever floats the boat and gets it working. Saying thanks, Diana. I just think it looks dark. I wish I could just use my name. You can. The more you start publishing, go back at it to your older videos and stuff. As people start to resonate your name for a certain thing, YouTube and even Google, pro tip, they will start making the connection that when people search for this, they're not looking for all this other stuff. They're looking for this person. They're looking for this person that's doing this kind of stuff. So that's why I say if you're using your name, just start putting that in there. The more people associate it with, no, I'm not that. YouTube is so smart. The search engine is so smart. Like the first time I put it in, nah, it's not that. I'm like, let me try an ad. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's this person. You'll start to see YouTube starts to aggregate that content and say, okay, people that look for this tag, this kind of name, they're not looking for all this other stuff. They're looking for this. They will make the connection. So it'll be all right. Saying, should I move away from the curtains or get blackout curtains? No, what you can do actually, let's go back to your stuff real quick. Wait, let's do the ZV-10 again. I need to get rid of that one. That was just a sample thing from before. Okay, I'm gonna delete you. Yes. Okay, so what you want to do here, the way that this is a little bit, I'm saying advanced just because sometimes you need two types of lighting a little differently. But once you do it once, you'll see what I'm talking about. When you want to see like through the windows, or you at least want it to look normal, kind of like maybe how it looks to your eye, you need to set the camera to light that window, adjust the exposure. What happens is you end up with a darker image because it's set for the background. This is why you see interviews where you see the person is lit well and you can see through the background. This is where dynamic range becomes a part of the conversation. Your eyes can see in real life the brighter parts and the darker parts evenly, right? So what happens now, your camera is doing the best that it can, but it still needs help. So you have to adjust. So you put your camera and you adjust until you can either see the window if you want to, or it's adjusted for the brightness that you want. You still need to light the area to the point that you want or whatever, but you set your camera to that. Now you sit down and you're going to look like, if this girl plays along, Alexa, turn the front light off. So now this is kind of it's a replica of kind of what you would see, where I've lit for the background for it to be what I want. If it was a window, you probably see the window more evenly exposed. But now I have to light myself. I have to light the subject, which means I need to introduce another light because everything behind me is set for one thing, but I'm not lit well. Alexa, turn the front light on. So now I have where I'm lit well and the background is relatively bright or whatever. For you to do the same thing, it's the same kind of scenario. If you want that window more evenly exposed or whatever the case is, what you have to do is you have to set the camera for that space. Then when you sit down in front of that camera, you need diffused light in front of you. It may be a little strong brightness wise, but usually lights are strong enough these days, indoors especially. You just need diffusion. You have that diffused light on you, you're going to be great, because then you're evenly exposed and the image looks in the background to however you imagine it, kind of like in your mind, kind of a deal. So that's what I would recommend if you're trying to do that for your window specifically. Now, if you don't want any of that window lighting, like you talked about, what is that? The question's on this side of things. Let's go here. Let's go vertical. It's like pull your question up. So let me go down here. So yeah, if you want to get rid of all window lighting and completely 100% light control, you can do one or two things. You can either get the blackout curtains, or I use these static cling tint that you can get more or less same section, or sometimes it's in the auto car like space. But it's not the tint like you traditionally are tinting. It's just a static cling type thing. So you can easily peel it off if you don't want it or move or whatever. But that way you're darkening the light. You don't have to change your curtains in the room aesthetic or whatever, but you're cutting down, and depending on how dark you want it or how much light you want to be let in, then you can adjust. But if you just want curtains, so I can either close it off when I don't want any light, open it up for the room when I do, it's just one of those two. I went with the static cling option because I do still want light outside of recording, but I don't want it impacting my video. So I did the static cling option with the tint. Easily removable tint. You can even get it on Amazon. But so you can see it, I would probably go in the store, at least to see. So I think my white balance was on 4600K. Okay, then that's fine. You can either do one or two things of warming up the image with the light temperature and making that a little warmer, or matter of fact, what's mine on right now? We can go through this. Drop something. I'm at 5,000 Kelvin. So this is, I was playing with this on that other live stream. So this is 4,700. Let me adjust it on Ecamm because I made that, put this at 0. So now, so this would be 4,700, 4,600, 44, 43. And you see how it's getting progressively warmer. If I go back to me in full screen, it's hella orange. We had 4,100. We go up 44, 5, 47, and we starting to get up. I would need to go up to that cooler temperature to get back to where I was previously. Now we at like 5,000 or whatever, and I can go up 5,500. But now you see it's like pale in my face. This light is super blue to me, to the natural eye. It impacts my skin. I'm not interested in all of that. So about 5,000, and it's like then I could probably pull a smidge out just with Ecamm, so it's not hella orange or whatever. It's all a preference. You know what I'm saying? So you can go with that. But 4,700 kelvins, if that's what you're at, for like that daytime white balance kind of look, that's fine. I also was sharing with y'all before how you can make adjustments to pull out the orange, pull out the red, or add more of that, or whatever. Go back to that live stream I did on a couple live streams back where I put all the settings on the camera and I showed y'all, and we went through all of that stuff, and I showed you that with the white balance and all that. All of that is in that stream. Just zoom until you see that. You'll see that grid though. Myself won't let me get through this stream if I at least don't show you real quick though. And shoot, let me pop in another battery because I let that one die. Thankfully it's right behind me. I'm gonna show you this, and then we're gonna wrap up with the last few questions on the stream, but I'll show you at least this bit on the camera so you can at least see with the ZV-E10. And daggone it if I didn't get rid of what I was using. Should have kept it. I didn't think I was gonna use it no more. But let's go here. All right, so now we got the ZV-10 back hooked in. What I was saying was, for the white balance, you can add in or remove certain hues. So if I'm just like, I'm still struggling to maybe get rid of that color or add this color in or whatever, when you go to your white balance, most people don't pay attention to this, but if you go, not in auto, but you're setting the white balance, see that right directional arrow, go over once. That'll get you to the number. You said you had 4,700. That's great. Go over one more time. You bring up this grid. this is what I was saying, like it's too yellow. So this is the ZVE 10. This is not the ZVE 1 that I'm looking at right now. So this one is set right. This camera isn't, because I messed with the settings, helping y'all out. So what I would do is, you see how it's like over here in the pink? Because if it's up here, the way it looks, or the way the gray card set it, or the, you know, the to set the white balance or automatic white balance is doing too much. I'm like, I don't want it that yellow. I'm just going to bring it down a notch. It's usually going to be at 0.0 to start with. If you've never touched this before, it's going to be at 0.0. What I'll do, I just bring two times. That's it. Not major shifts, small shifts. That's it. Ooh, excuse me. Pardon me. Small shifts. That's it. I'm not going to be doing way down here. It's really small, minor tweaks. And usually what it is just small adjustments. So it pulls it away from the yellow, more into the pinks, just so more of the pink in my natural skin tones start to come out in my fingertips. Now it's a little pink, it's a little red. It's just my preference. I want to see more of the pink in my skin, in my cheeks, in my not so much up here, but when I got a tan this summer, being out and about, I'm like, why am I hella orange? That's because I've been out in the sun. So I adjusted that. I'm like, well, let me pull that down. So I still kind of got some of it. So I'm like, we finna go in the winter. It'll be fine, but let me pull some of that out. That's what you can do with the white balance. Just further adjust. It's just minor tweaks, minor tweaks. Eco Photos, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Welcome to the stream. Saying, yeah, her video looks clean and even. As I said, nobody's going to judge it but you. But to get it to what you're imagining in your mind, you just need to make those adjustments. Take a look at it on your phone, on the computer. TVs are always going to be hella contrasty for TV to make flowers really pop, to make whatever color grading for a movie or a show really pop, because they're all adjusted awkwardly to fit that environment. Like the movie The Martian, it's super orange when you're, supposed to be on the planet, just so that it can mimic that look. So you just adjust things. Thank you. Clavicle bones, collarbones earlier. I'm like, what are these bones? I couldn't think of clavicle bones, collarbones. Thank you. I'm a doctor, but I don't have that degree. I said I'll do that with the framing. I like that. I have a lapel mic on. My wireless mic was not charged. Rule number 1, charge everything. Charge everything. Saying, Sam, I'm subbing to your channel. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Love it, love it, love it. Saying I prefer the warm look. Okay, that's cool. Saying I think Nikon, if they could just get the autofocus right, they would have so much better with the price. I think Nikon is coming. And I don't think they're too far off from taking, you know what I'm saying? Like taking up more space in the marketplace. And I mean, beyond photographers, beyond legacy users that have been with the brand for eons. Like my grandpa used Nikon. I'm using Nikon. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, to bring in new people to their ecosystem. I think it's coming. I really, really do. I think it's coming. I don't think they bought Red just for clout's sake. So yeah. Saying, so if my background is daylight, but my key light is warmer, would I set the white balance to the key light? Get a gray card. And then what happens when you use a gray card, you hold it in front of you. It takes a picture of the image and it adjusts the white balance accordingly for the lighting in the space. So that's what you do. Instead of, because matching the kelvins in the camera to the white balance on the light is not always going to give you what you want. And so what I find is that you spend more time tweaking stuff. So if your lights are 4700 and you change the white balance on your camera, it's not going to look bad. It can look great. But if it's not looking the way you want it to look, you're going to spend more time tweaking. I don't like to spend time tweaking unnecessarily. You get a gray card, you hold it up to the camera. It takes a picture of that because it's like, okay, we got light coming from here. We got light coming from here. This is happening, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is what looks best for this environment. Then you can take a look at those settings and say, nah, that don't look right to me. I don't really like that. And then adjust it. Then you're adjusting from there instead of having to figure all of the little nuances out. So that's what I would suggest. I say, thank you, Diana. You're most welcome. So I use the Sony A7C in standard, or is standard the best setting, or do I need to try picture profile if it's an 8-bit camera? I have like the hyperpigmentation in my skin. I think it looks great on you. For me, I could never get standard to look well on my skin and on my face, again, just because like I have the hyperpigmentation, and so I break out with acne a lot. Like my chin is it's a good example of that because it's a bad area for all of that. So standard never looked great on me personally. So I think it looks great on you. It looks really good, and it usually do for most people. It didn't work for me. So what I really like was the i2 709 profile, and I made adjustments to that because I liked the way that looked. It looked more natural to me. It was like a softer skin tone. Nikki Saunders, if y'all are familiar with her, if you follow her content and stuff, she's dope. So my friend Nikki, she uses like natural or not natural, neutral. She uses neutral, and that looks dope on her. She may have changed it more recent years or whatever, but she used to use neutral. And so it's really just a preference of what you like and what you think best represents you. For me, that wasn't standard. It really is a preference in how you want to look. I've worked with the S-Cinetone to get it close to that i2 709, but I like on an 8-bit camera, basic Sony cameras or whatever, I still, for the most part, on everything, still use that i2 709 profile coloring or whatever. I like it. Even with the S-Cinetone, I still mix it even to my regular camera settings. Y'all saw it said i2 709, and that's the ITU, not I number 2 or whatever. It may be in like the S-Cinetone now because I have it, but if I go here, when I look at I just put it at number 2 because I can't remember what I put for number 1 right now, but I adjusted it to do what I want. So the S-Cinetone, once I got it, I was like, oh, let me experiment with that. I like that on the ZV-1 E1 because the gradation in brightness, like the dynamic range, is better for me. The A7C, along with the ZV-E1 Mark I, doesn't have S-Cinetone. So on the ZV-E10, instead of it being S-Cinetone, it's the same as this i2 709 matrix. I like the i2 709 matrix, and it's what I personally use on just about any Sony camera if I'm recording for myself. So I'll use the i2 709 settings. So if we go over here to my main camera settings, more or less, it's the same thing. But if I was on the ZV-E10 Mark I A7C personally, I just like the i2 709 because it's going to give me something similar to this. S-Cinetone on me in this space just tends to be a bit warmer sometimes, a bit more orange, and it's okay. I like it because it just, a light will be, it'll have a better dynamic range essentially or whatever. But other than that, I like the i2 709 for both the gamma and color mode, which is getting into nerd territory, but I'll tell you this anyway. So we go back over here. So my picture, this one is set up the way I like, same thing, more or less, but it's the i2 709. And then the color matrix is set to the i2 709. That's what I use because that's what I like. It's just my personal preference. I bring the saturation down just because it's a little bit, like say less orange, but I tend to go for a warmer look though. So it's not a best, it just becomes a preference. And that's just what I personally found that I liked best with that. Saying that's a gem. Thank you. You are very welcome. Saying all kind of gems for real. You said right, ride and live. Exactly. Saying changed with additions on Tuesday and went live with the new content last night. Was that warning enough? Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to figure out like, should it be 5 days before? I promise you, everybody else is living their life, and they gonna need a couple reminders most of the time before it like locks into, like when I used to do this every week, every single week at the same time, people be like, hey, you're not live yet. Instagram DMs, you're not live yet. Where are you? Hey, let me send an email. I sent you the Instagram live. Where are you? And it's like, I'm sorry, I have a stomach ache. We're going to be a little behind today. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I told y'all we're going to be out of town. We'll go live on Wednesday when I'm such and such. They be like, hey, where's the, you know what I'm saying? So when you lock them into the schedule and it becomes like a value packed session or enjoyable or whatever, then they'll come. But if it's kind of like, I don't know, so I do it today, like how it's been the last couple months or whatever, I'm like, no, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna do it. Let's do it. So the thing is, though, when you start having that solidity of like, okay, I'm coming this time, because I played with different time frames for me. I'm like 11:45 is perfect. Not too early, not too late. So for me, this is the perfect ideal time, or whatever the case is. When you're doing your live stream, you set it as early as you can, but the earlier you set it, the more opportunities you have to get in front of them. The more times you actually show up and you fulfill that promise that you were live at that time, the more people trust that you will be there the next time. Right? So it's a little bit of enough time, but sometimes it's not enough to be a part of that person's day. It's like, oh, they're going to be live. I'll catch the replay, or maybe next time, or I wonder if it's going to be live. You know what I'm saying? So build up to it. A week early is ideal to say like, hey, I scheduled this in last week's live stream at the same time. I just popped up last week and I'm like, my bad. Okay, here we are. But you know what I'm saying? Just keep doing you. Keep doing you. Show up, set it at least a week in advance. Communicate that, build an email list. I send out an email today like, hey, about to be live. I'm going to do the camera clinic today. If you got questions, come drop your questions, blah, blah, blah. As soon as this live is over, I'm scheduled for next week. You know what I'm saying? So at least a week. If you know for sure for that whole month set time, then you do it that way. You can go that way. Said I did order 2 of those mini LED lights from TikTok. I could use those. So yeah, just make sure you just got some diffusion. Got some diffusion to a point so it's not creating like harsh shadows. Saying, wait, that went over. Saying, how you got Alexa doing that? Plugs? Yeah. Simple answer, yes. Whatever that light is, connect it to that plug, set it up in the app so that creatively I say phrases to either say I'm ready to work, I'm ready to record, I'm ready to stream, and either certain lights come on, certain lights go off, and the camera comes on and stuff like that. So creatively, I used to have to go turn all that stuff on. I ain't doing all that. I say, hey, this phrase, all these things turn on. Hey, this phrase, all these things turn off except this, this, and this. Hey, I'm ready to do X action. That means I need these things available. Okay, she turns those things on when she's not being hard-headed and listening. So yeah. Saying, yeah, I did not have my lights turned up bright, I think 50%. Most of the time you don't have to do it 100%, but just make some adjustments. I wouldn't go more than 50% on your face because you are properly exposed already. You're just making adjustments further on. Saying, so that's why my hands look dark in the videos, the darn lip, 100%. Said, Diana, you've been giving away all the tips today. Thank you. You're very welcome. Glad to be of service. Didn't plan on doing no 3-hour stream. We definitely ain't doing no 5-hour one. Shoot. Said, so you don't use any additional LUTs? I do, but it's only been 1 or 2. I bought a ton of LUTs. Very few actually look good in some, like you got to mimic their settings. And sometimes I don't always like that. you know what I'm saying? It's like so sometimes it's LUTs that are crafted specific for those things. I try to use ones that overall look good and overall are pleasing and work for all of mine. So I do use one, but I don't like do a ton, if that makes sense. Like I'm not switching them. It's been the same one for maybe 3 or so years now, maybe 3 or more years. It's been the same LUT that I use, and it's like tweaking it to, like, we got a different camera. These settings are different on this camera. We made changes, make these tweaks, and so that's pretty much it. So I really want to keep my Z30. I hope they do add a wider lens for content creators. I think it's coming. I think it's coming for Nikon. Saying try that at 5:30 a.m. for real, for real. If I am not live by 5:32, people are texting, calling, emailing, where you at? They're used to consistency 5 days a week, and I do my best not to be late. I used to have a morning show. Was this right before the pandemic or right after? Used to have a morning show, 6 a.m. My voice sound like the Allstate man. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't know how many months I did that, and I'm just like, in my spirit, I am not a morning podcast like crack of dawn type. I'm like, this is not my ministry in life. I'm not doing this. I don't even have enough time to warm my voice up, so I'm literally sounding like the Allstate man. I said, Merry Christmas to you. That's all that I have. We're not this show. This is the last episode. Shoot, 11:45 a.m. I'm good to go. I can do that. All right. So we got to the end of the chat, all the questions, all the things. For y'all that have been here to all the way towards the end, you are the Ride and Live crew. Appreciate y'all being here, for hopping on for the camera clinic to help you with your camera settings. We'll be back next week, 11:45 a.m. Central Standard Time for the Friday Live Helpcast. With that, guys, remember to create, post, repeat, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out, y'all.